This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 113, and this week I am very pleased to be joined by a returning guest, Mr. Brian Quinlan, who thankfully got his microphone working. Hi, Quinlan.
Hi.
This is your first time on the show remotely, instead of being in the same room with me, I think.
Yes.
So you're just gonna give one-word answers. So, how's it feel to be like every other guest in the history of the show?
Okay.
It feels okay.
Yeah.
Of course, we're here to talk about the two Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows that we both attended in New York City and Philly. We're going to talk about some upcoming New Japan cards, some general thoughts and feelings on attending these two shows live. I also already recorded a segment on my own for DDT's September 29th Korakuen, so I'm going to put that on at the end after our New Japan segment here.
Speaking of DDT, their next big show isn't until November, right? Or am I completely wrong about that?
You're right. November 3rd, Ultimate Party.
So nothing is going to be new on their network for October?
No. Well, November 3rd is their next big show. They're still going to have smaller shows.
Smaller shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I keep saying we. I talked all about the Ultimate Party show as well. I went through the whole card. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know. You don't watch DDT. How the hell do I know you want to talk about DDT?
You couldn't find anyone else that wanted to talk about DDT? So.
Okay, I went over it.
John, what do you think about the show? Well, let me tell you, John, I'm glad I finally have someone that agrees with me on everything. In fact, I think you should be my guest from now on, John. I'm honored, John. I will be. Okay.
It was that I didn't know when I was going to watch the show and when I was going to be able to record because we went to these two shows this past weekend, and
yeah.
Plus, there were the parties and everything, which were a good time.
And what awesome shows they were. Wow.
Are you saying that sarcastically?
No, I'm not.
Well, some people really didn't like the New York City show. I don't really.
Then, if it's because of the thing which we'll probably start out with, then that's not their fault. And if it's because it wasn't a big show, I don't know what you wanted when you. I saw those cards and knew immediately these are going to be like Korakuen shows, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But. Yeah,
we're going to talk a little bit about the macro thing because I think there was one thing on the New York City card that was under their control that I think was a mistake, but other than that, I don't really think that was really their fault. And I think the people expecting Dominion, I don't know what to tell you. You got to go to Dominion.
No, you have to go to Japan and go see Dominion. Yeah. And it's a good thing the show wasn't Dominion because then we would have been here till 2 a.m. It was a Korakuen show. It was yeah.
So quickly, I guess before we talk about the professional wrestling, people seem to enjoy the anime chat we've done the past few weeks. So I have another guest on here that I can talk about anime with. Quinlan, what anime have you been watching?
Okay. Well, the stuff that's like current, because I do like to go back and watch a lot of old stuff. Current stuff, I'm watching Dragon Ball Super, which I only got a couple episodes left of that. Just so everyone knows.
Wait, the show's over?
No. It just took a long break.
Because
they wanted the manga to catch up, and they didn't want to be like how they used to be, where like an episode would have like every time someone did a move to fill in time, they'd have like 20 different people talk about that one move and have a lot of filler and all this shit. They're just taking a long break, and they had a movie in between it that's canon, so that's fine. But
when did the show end?
I think maybe last year even. It's been a while because I've been watching it as it airs on Toonami. Because I grew up with the dub voice acting, so it kind of, even though I've watched a lot of Japanese voice acting for Dragon Ball, I mostly watch dub, so I'm used to it. And
you mostly watch dub for Dragon Ball, to be clear.
Yeah.
For everything else, you usually watch sub.
For Naruto, I've never watched any of the dub. I've never seen a single second of the dub. I don't think, but I believe because people were expecting the new season to come out this fall, and the announcement never came, so obviously it's not coming. So people are wondering. The manga has gotten further ahead, and they need to give the manga time, because it's one chapter a month. So, yeah, they needed to wait a while. But
or they could have done what Boruto did with their one chapter,
where the manga started in episode 53. So I just reached where the manga started in Boruto, the anime. So 52 episodes of filler.
It was
52
hilarious.
episode intro. If you guys want to watch Boruto,
we just joked last week that like anime fans will seriously tell you, like, okay, if you sit through 50 episodes, the show will get good. But here, you literally have to sit through 53 episodes before you get to the plot of the manga.
52.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It starts at 53. Well, there was a manga volume written by the creator that's canon that takes place between Naruto and Boruto. During those 52 episodes, they had like a 3-episode thing that covered that. And they had one episode that covers a chapter that happens later in the manga that's a flashback chapter, and they did an episode, I guess, because it fit along the timeline. So there are like 4 episodes sprinkled in that are technically canon and from the manga, but other than that, it's all filler that they just did. Well, because they started around the same time the manga started, and the manga's 1 chapter a month. So they're like, well, we got to give them a long time to get ahead. So I guess we'll just have them fight mailmen and disgruntled video game programmers. And
and you watched all of this.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's not as bad as some of the Naruto filler. It really isn't.
But you've watched all of that too.
Yeah.
So, folks, for those of you listening at home, this person watches Naruto filler, Boruto filler, and World Wrestling Entertainment programming. So, what are you doing with your life, Quinlan?
I don't know.
What are you doing? And
I guess the other series I'm watching, well, as I talk, people are going to notice a pattern. A lot of the current stuff I watch on Toonami. Not all of it. Some of it I just wait for the season. I don't watch JoJo's on Toonami. But I haven't watched part 5 yet. I'm gonna watch My Hero Academia as soon as it comes on. I'm gonna download it. But like I've been watching Food Wars, which is pretty good. People told me that show was great for years, and I just started it. Fire Force, which is pretty good. Dr. Stone is pretty enjoyable because I have no idea where the show's going, and that show had a lot of build up. When are you gonna watch it, John?
I'm gonna watch it soon.
The creator's gonna be at that con you're going to. Don't you wanna?
Aren't you going to? Why'd you say I'm going? The con I'm going to.
It's the con you consider like your con, because we're always like, John, why do you love this con so much? Well, it's my con, and we'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Well, I do live in New York. That's all I'm saying. Okay. It's my hometown con.
Okay, I live in New Jersey, so is Anime Next my con?
Yeah.
I guess so. Okay.
Have fun claiming that piece of crap.
I think I got the better one, John. But
no, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, at least look, Tomino is going to be at mine, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm very excited to meet the creator of Gundam.
And Garzy's Wing.
And Garzy's Wing, that's true. Do you know the story about how? So for those not keeping up what I'm saying here, so the creator of Gundam, obviously a legendary figure in the animation industry, also created one of the worst anime of all time, Garzy's Wing, which is like this weird OVA that, like, I don't know, became kind of a cult favorite among some anime fans because in addition to being really bad, it also has like one of the worst dubs of all time. So like it's really funny to watch and just hear them say all this random shit. Give me a line from Garcia's Wing, Quinlan. Come on, you can do it.
If you owned a convenience store, I would live with you.
How about the one where he's talking to himself in the past?
Yeah, no, he's talking to himself in another dimension.
Another dimension.
Why I'm so confused. How are they not the same person? Like, I'm so confused. Like, does this mean if you die there, I'll die here? Probably.
The way he delivers, probably.
It's just like, are you gonna make it to the party? Probably. Am I gonna die? Yeah. Probably. And also, you certainly got sexy. Another favorite line.
But yeah, so Tomino made one of the most legendary media franchises, the Japanese equivalent of Star Wars, basically, Gundam, and he also made Guardians of the Way. So he's at this con in New York City, to bring it full circle here, way back in the day, I think like 2002 or 3 or something like that, and I think it was Anime Expo New York or something, and Central Park Media at the time, this was like one of the big anime distributors. They basically, they had funded they funded part of the convention, and they were the ones who brought over Tomino. But Tomino, again, his big work is Gundam, and they don't license Gundam because this was a very tiny, studio. Gundam's a big deal. But they did license Garcia's Wing. So that's the only thing they had under their license in America that he worked on, they just peppered him with question after question on this fucking terrible show he probably never wants to think about. So basically every answer he gave was like, I don't want to talk about it. Or like, that was like the general gist. Like, I don't want to talk about this. But they just kept trying over and over again because it's the only thing they had in their catalog that he worked on. So he was tormented at this convention. So I hope Anime NYC goes better for him this year than Anime Expo New York did back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched any new anime in the past week, I guess. I've gotten a little farther on Slimu.
One other thing I wanted to mention, I have caught up on Attack on Titan.
You finished the entire third season? Or the first half of the third season?
Ago, yeah. Yeah, months ago, I think. A while ago. What?
So what do you think of it? You never told me this.
We discussed the end of the third season.
Wait a second. You told me you got to the basement? No, you didn't.
Well, I did. I guess
okay, so what do you think? What do you think of the basement spoiler, like the big world spoiler?
By
the way, spoilers for Attack on Titan, folks. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we are gonna spoil it. Okay.
Yeah, just say it. What do you think of it?
I thought it didn't you kept acting like it was the biggest twist ever. I was kind of like, oh, that's not surprising. That's an interesting way to go with it. Wait
a second. You think it's not that surprising that the entire plot of the show is wrong? They think there's no one else that's alive, and it turns out the entire world is alive.
Yeah, no, I predicted that a long time ago, buddy.
Oh. Okay,
watching the show, I'm like, I bet it's going to... Well, where did those two people fucking come from? They mentioned there was more people because fucking Reiner and the other one kept talking about their village outside the walls, or where they're from is outside. So I'm like, oh, well, obviously there's an outside world, and they've been lying this whole time. This was something that I guessed a long time ago, because they said it on the show. Because I knew they came from somewhere else. I didn't know it turned out that they spent their whole lives fighting Titans when it turns out they are the Titans, really.
Yeah.
And that's what they're thought of by the outside world as the Titans. I think it helped liking it better because right before I watched the third season, I saw the second live action film. And going into that movie, I didn't know they made up their own ending and explanation for everything that was different from the show, because I don't think the show had reached it yet. And it was so horrendous. And I'm like, it can't be worse than that. And it wasn't. The show.
What was the movie explanation again?
It's revealed that the world they lived in was once our world. And the government created Titans. I don't know which world government, maybe United States, because it showed a Titan walking through Times Square or something in a scene. Or somewhere in New York, I think, created Titans as a military weapon. They got out of control. But then but then they used the Titans to keep people trapped in the city. The reason why they unleashed the leaders of the city, the leaders of the military unleashed the Colossal Titan because people in the city were thinking about branching out and going exploring the outside world. And they're like, oh, we can't let them leave the town, so we'll have to terrorize them with Titans to make them think only the military can protect them. We have to stay here in the city. And the main villain turns out to be a Titan, or the main general, and I think it ended with the Armored Titan killing the Colossal Titan and dying as well, but they were different people. It was, and the movie never really explained how the main character was a Titan, though. But I was like, okay,
sounds pretty stupid.
It was really bad. It felt like, oh, we got to wrap this shit up in one movie because we may not get another one. All right, well, yeah, that okay. It's a really forgettable. And also, if you want to watch a movie where there are no Titans, then I'll watch second Attack on Titan movie because I get the feeling the budget was cut for the second one. A lot of the movie is them like riding in a car, and they're like, "Hey, look, Titans!" And then you see Titans in the distance. Okay, those are Titans. Let's keep going. And like, it's not like the end and the very beginning that the Titans and the characters are on screen together. So it's like, I could tell this movie got its budget cut from the first one. Like, they were like, okay, you're not going to have the money this time, guys. So have a bunch of people riding in the car for most of it.
It sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Attack on Titan. I don't know. I'm excited for it to come back, I guess, but
I don't know how they're going to wrap up everything in one season, but good luck with that.
They're about to hit like the weirdest, craziest part of the manga, so I don't know. We'll see what they do. Anyway, that was Anime Chat. Since people seem to enjoy that the last few weeks, will be a little bit more difficult to do it next week with the Rich from the Voice of Wrestling flagship, but who knows, I guess. Maybe I'll ask him if he wants to marathon Sailor Moon before he comes on. All right.
Why don't you watch some Dragon Ball Super, John?
I'm good. Let's talk about the Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows from this past weekend. There were 3 events in Boston, well, not Boston, Lowell, Manhattan, and Philadelphia. So the first event in Lowell, we obviously did not go to. So I'm just going to go through the results really quickly, because some of them play into results later on. The attendance was 2130. So, there's actually the highest attendance of the 3 shows, but it was the only one not sold out because it's a big building, I guess. The opener was Carl Fredericks beating Alex Coughlin at 8:47 with an elevated half Boston Crab. Not surprising since he won the, the Young Lions Cup. Then Lance Archer beat Ren Narita in 7:23 at the EBD Claw. Mikey Nichols and Juice Robinson defeated Clark Connors and TJP. Nichols pinning Connors in 8:04 at the Mikey Bomb. I heard that TJP was just as hated at this show as he was the other 2. Chase Owens and Jado defeated the Rock and Roll Express in 9:10 when Chase pinned Ricky Morton with the package pile driver. Tomohiro Ishii and Amazing Red, the team that Andrew Rich of Music of the Mat called Red Bull. I thought it was funny. They beat Shingo Takagi and Bushi at 8:48 when Ishii pinned Bushi with the vertical drop brainbuster. Match number 6, Goto, Yoshihashi, and Rocky Romero beat Jay White, Kenta, and Gato. Yoshihashi tapped out Gato to the butterfly lock in 12:28, building some momentum for his big title challenge. Then we had GOD defeating Roppongi 3K to retain the IWGP Tag Team titles. Tama Tonga pinning Yo in 16:43 with the gun stun to retain. And the main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, and Kazuchika Okada defeating LIJ, Naito, Evil, and Sonata in 2026 when Tanahashi pinned Naito with the ground cobra twist, which is, of course, like the, basically a flash pin. So interesting there that Naito got pinned. I think it's sort of like to continue the storyline of him being at his bottom here after he lost the IC title. Plus somebody had to get pinned in this match, and, doesn't really make sense for Okada, Ibushi, Evil, Sonata since they got big matches coming up. This could be a kind of thing where they come back and reference it down the line. Maybe if Naito happens to walk out of the Tokyo Dome with both titles, Tanahashi can say he beat him back up the show. They've done stuff like that before. They've done like Goto beat Okada in the G1 and everybody thought they forgot about it, and then Goto brings it up like 6 months later. So we'll see. Then night number 2, the Hammerstein Ballroom, a sellout 1776. Is that the actual number of people, or did they do that as a little joke?
That's what I read too. Maybe. I doubt them doing that. Yeah, that's just what it was, I guess.
So first of all, the big thing you have to talk about, I guess, right away is the start time for the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was supposed to be 7 p.m. The actual start time ended up being 8:24 p.m. And so the only announcement we got at first was basically that there was some kind of technical. Well, first we didn't get any announcement for a long time, and we've started hearing something about technical difficulties. Then we heard it was the ambulance. The story became that the ambulance was stuck in traffic, and then we heard actually, I think the other story came out after the guy came out. So we hear the ambulance is stuck in traffic or whatever, and then I think what time did the executive come out? 7:45, 7:50?
Yeah, I want to say about 45 minutes after they're supposed to start. I want to think, but I could be wrong.
So this executive comes out and introduces himself.
Before you mention this crowd was mad. They were booing. They were chanting, "This is bullshit," right before it came out. Now
they were getting increasingly angry. There was one guy 2 rows ahead of us that was really mad. I don't know.
He was mad. We were 5 seconds after 8 p.m. He started freaking out. So I was
7 p.m.
7 p.m. That's 7 p.m. 5 seconds. Well, fucking stop. So I was like, okay, well, and he just kept getting more and more belligerent as the show went on. But
so he was he was like a jackass and clearly drunk. I mean, we were up in for the New York City show, we should say we were up in the section 101, I believe, right? Yeah. And it was the first balcony all the way to the left, or to the right, I guess, if you're looking up at it. But I mean, the seats were good. They were the 4th row of that balcony. Although your seat was behind a pillar, so I guess your seat wasn't as good. Hello, can you not hear me?
Oh, you're gonna have for a second. You're talking about how I was on. Yeah, I can hear you now. I was on the pillar. Yeah,
you were behind the pillar.
I could see fine. I just looked around. It wasn't directly in front of me. I just moved my head a couple inches, and I could see almost all the ring except for one corner.
Yeah, my view was great, so I could see the entire ring. Mm-hmm. But so this guy in front of us starts loudly complaining, and he's probably the loudest one in our section. When a friend of mine, who I met at the show, actually, when she tweeted something at me, I think what it was, I forget what it was. It was something about how American fans are super belligerent and rude or something. I was well, I think she's talking specific because she was in our section, and I was okay. Let me just read her actual tweet. She said, "People throwing streamers last night made me really annoyed because they also had, people basically brought streamers to the show and threw them, and then same with people booing the delay. So many American fans are so rude and entitled and self-absorbed. I hope it doesn't make New Japan shy away from doing shows on the East Coast." Yes, I hope she's okay at me reading that tweet, but I totally agree with Haley. American fans are the worst. So, I mean, there are plenty of fans there that were very nice and very cool and, understanding. And I'm not saying people can't get mad about delay, but by the time we get to 7:50 or whatever the fuck, it's pretty obvious that this isn't just because, I don't know, a camera broke or something. There's something serious going on.
When they came out, Rocky said something about shooting. We're having trouble shooting, or somebody said something. I was like, shooting? What the hell? That wasn't the problem. Everybody. It was
so
some piece of shit made a phone call, and
so the executive comes out. And, people at this point have been very angry and they were booing and chanting. And he says, do you remember exactly what he said?
I don't. Well, first he got on all fours and bowed to each side of the ring.
He got on all fours.
While looking like he's about to cry.
He got down on all fours. Yeah.
He started apologizing a little bit, but then immediately started bowing to all of us again. And he kept doing that because that's a cultural thing with Japan. When something goes wrong, even if it's not your fault, you still apologize profusely and beg forgiveness. And this New York crowd did not know how to take that. They went from chanting "This is bullshit" to when they saw this poor Japanese man, and they felt so bad, they started chanting "It's okay." So they got guilt tripped into feeling I think not as angry because this was not their fault at all, as it turns out later. But
yeah, so like the crowd basically like seriously felt bad. Basically,
yeah, they got quiet and they were like, "Oh, we feel like assholes now."
Yeah, and
Oh,
because
shit.
so it was like it was very effective, I guess. But
Yeah,
I think people like if you're not aware of like some of Japanese culture, this probably was a much bigger shock to you. But like this, I think like you were just saying, this is like a very typical, I don't know, like Japanese apology. You know what I mean? Like I've seen executives like basically when something goes wrong with your company, the executive's supposed to go out in front of the people and be very humble and be very like apologetic and just like take all the blame basically. So what this guy did. So I don't think it was. I think people might have even felt worse than they needed to, honestly. But yeah, people felt really bad. And then Rocky Romero came in and rescued him basically because he was like. He saw this man was just like going over and over again through the very Japanese apology. But yeah, Rocky was like, look, this wasn't our fault, which became clear afterwards. And then he started throwing out T-shirts, and basically he got the crowd to chant New Japan, which was quite like this whole thing was quite the work because like to get a crowd to chant for the promotion of the show they're at that's an hour late and counting is pretty impressive. So, but so the show.
Second Rocky got in the ring and started talking, he got a huge pop. People love him. But
at this point, he said we're going to try to get something on the screen from Boston, I guess, to tie this over, which they did eventually, but they didn't get it up there until like 10 minutes before the show started anyway. So
so it didn't really. Yeah, but. Are you ready to go over why this happened? But I'm sure everyone listening probably already knows. Well, have there been updates today? You were the one at home today. You would have kept.
No, I think I didn't see anything really.
Just was at 5:30. They were like, "Okay, where the fuck is this ambulance?" They called them, the company that the Hammerstein, because the Hammerstein is the one that calls the ambulance, the building, and they're like, "Are you guys stuck in traffic? Where are you guys?" And they're like,
Me at 7:30.
So I thought it was even earlier, but they were like, someone called us this morning and said the show's canceled and we're booked out, so sucks for you. And they're like, we didn't call you. So that's the whole thing in and of itself. And then like, I guess the New York State Athletic Commission are like by the numbers, like, because now who did the fire department gave them an ambulance and they told them that doesn't meet the regulations. Or something, and then they got an ambulance
because the fire department ambulance can be called away is their thing.
Yeah. So they got an ambulance, but then they're like, "Well, that's at the front; it has to be at the back." And when I read that, I was like, "Jesus Christ! Did they take an extra 20 minutes because of that bullshit? Because it was at the wrong side of the building? Like, just let them start the fucking show at that point." Like, oh god! And they had, but
they had 4 ambulances there at one point.
Yeah, but they still didn't meet the regulations. Their fucking regulations, but Anyway, the question is now who made the phone call? And, I don't know. I mean, and it's really sad that because if I'm gonna tell this story to anybody, only like someone that knows wrestling, American wrestling, would know when reading the story. Okay, another company fucked them. Anyone else who doesn't like watch wrestling would hear the story and said, "Oh, someone made a mistake and thought the show was canceled when it wasn't." And someone from the company, and be like, "No, that's not what happened." And I've told the story to people. Like I was telling my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh, so someone made a mistake." I was like, "No one made a mistake. Someone sabotaged them." That's because the wrestling in America is still stuck in like the fucking carny days. And I'm sure the New Japan officials are probably like, "Who screwed up?" And because Japanese wrestling isn't stuck like that, but they'd be like, "No, someone fucked you. Fucked you." And it's just, which one is it? Can we make? I don't want to make accusations, but there are only 2 people from 2 companies that I think could have. I don't think, because there's another big company that doesn't seem to be, to me, are younger and don't seem to be stuck in days in those carny bullshit things. A certain AEW, I don't think would pull something like that. At least that's what I believe. That if they're gonna compete with you, they're not gonna do shit like that. I think that there's one company where many people might do that, and there's one company where I think one person would want to do that. But I think we can. But I don't want to name names, but I think everyone knows because I saw your thing, John. I saw your tweet, and I saw the GIFs and the people featured in those GIFs, and the certain individuals who I think people are thinking might be responsible for this. But
yeah, I don't know why you're beating on the bush so much. I eat Bully Ray or Vince McMahon.
Okay, well, I don't want to be accused of.
What are they gonna fucking sue me for my no money I make from this podcast? Come fucking sue me, Bully Ray.
If a guy is willing to risk his company for a lawsuit by bringing a fan backstage for yelling at his girlfriend and threatening him like he's in the fucking mafia, and he did everything but like buy him a new suitcase as he was like talking to him like Tony Soprano. Like when I heard that story, I'm like, this is not gonna this is the future's grim for that company if they're letting Bully Ray do this bullshit. So it could have easily been him, and the fact that there are people saying Vince McMahon doesn't know New Japan exists.
Yes, that was the funniest reply.
Why the fuck do you think Vince McMahon? Why the fuck do you think Raw and SmackDown went back to tape to TV in Madison Square Garden for the first time in like 10 years, people? Why do you think that happened? Because New Japan sold out Madison Square Garden. That's why he went back and he was like, "Oh, God damn it, I'll show them. It's the first time in 10 years we're going to sell it out." They didn't.
Yeah,
and they brought Austin, they brought Undertaker, and everyone was like, "We're good, we'll stay home." And I'm sure that drove him insane. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past him or the other.
Just amazing to me that anyone would ever say Vince McMahon doesn't know New Japan exists. So I guess in the '80s when they were partners, he just thought he didn't know who his partners were.
Yeah.
Or when Andre the Giant would vanish every like 6 months, he just thought like Andre would fall to the earth.
Or when his junior title was taken for like how long, defended there in the '70s. Or where do you think he got knocked? He just signed.
These people are not worth. These people are not worth spending any time on. They are so fucking stupid. Yeah. And you're never. It's like talking about Trump supporters. You're never going to convince them of anything. But yes. So as far as the delay goes, I mean, look, obviously it sucked to be there for almost an hour and a half without a show. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why, when I look back on it, I think Philly was better. But even without it, I think I would have liked Philly better. So I guess we'll talk about that. Yeah. And the crowd got over it. I mean,
the crowd was red hot from the opening match.
I mean, I was worried.
There was one match where they died down, but we'll get to that. But
I thought the crowd was going to be in a bad mood all night over that, but they were once they got the show they wanted, they were fucking thrilled. So, all right, so let's talk about the actual show. It opened up with TJP defeating Red Narita in 8:48 with the Panori stretch. Were you surprised by how much TJP was hated?
I thought he might not get the best reaction. I didn't know they'd like boo him out of the building, but
I mean, he was playing into it here.
Yeah, he was fine with it, but I guess it's because they consider him like a WWE guy or something.
And he's really annoying on Twitter.
Oh, well, I don't follow him on Twitter because I don't care. But I guess that's the reason.
He's like a borderline like meninist or something. I don't know.
Oh,
or like a male rights guy.
I didn't know that.
Men's rights guy, whatever.
Yeah.
So
well, then I would have booed him too. But
but yeah. So this, I first of all, I marked out when Narita had their LA Dojo theme. Now that was great.
Yeah,
he didn't have the
he already had the shirt and everything, and that was great. I love that they're doing that storyline with him. I just hope
I have defected.
I just hope he doesn't like disappear like all the young lions they've been pushing have been doing lately.
But I thought this was the highlight was probably when TJP, who did actually play heel pretty well. He had like a long wind up for a slap when he kept taking the gloves off and everything, and they just faked out, hit the drop kick instead. I thought that was pretty funny. But TJP won. I went 3 stars in this. I thought it was a fun little opener.
Yeah, this was a fun little. I mean, this was like those young lions always have great, exciting matches that you can get behind. I think the best of all the Young Lions matches this weekend was the next night, but we'll get to that. But
I really like the next match too, which we'll talk about. So Carl Fredericks versus Lance Archer. Lance Archer beat him in 7:37 with the EBD claw. I thought this was a really fun, underdog match where Fredericks really, he totally dominated for a while, but then he finally got to fire up a little bit, and Archer sold for him more than he sold for the guy the following night. So I thought that was cool. But I went 3 1/4 on this. I really enjoyed it.
Lance, I think I liked his match the next night better, Archer, but both of them were awesome. Lance Archer has gotten so great. And
he's very over now.
He's very over. I think they probably should have never stuck him in a tag team because he's been there. I think he's just better as a singles guy that goes in and destroys people. And he's like another certain giant man that's in the company, but a million times better.
You mean by like Fale?
Yeah, I think maybe he should take his place. But I know Fale is always going to get a push, probably because of his dojo and his loyalty of staying there. But Archer was great here. He's even better the next night, and I think he's an awesome heel. And he was great in the G1 this year too. He's just, as a singles wrestler, I think he's a lot better. I think as a tag team, I think it's also just being in that division, that the only division in New Japan that's kind of like, oh, that one, the heavyweight tag division. Yeah. The only one that's like, that's people don't like. I think it just makes you, I don't know, just being part of that division just brings you down a little bit, possibly.
Match number 3, Mikey Nichols and Juice Robinson defeating Alex Coughlin and Clark Connors in 8:29 when Mikey pinned Alex with the Mikey Bomb. There was like a weird miscommunication early with Juice and Connors that like wasn't good, but then Clark made up for it by just going nuts on both guys with like spears and chops and slams. That was a really cool spot. And then the double Boston Crab spot was cool. And I thought the match by the end improved and got up to 3 stars. But what'd you think of this one?
This is a match that happened. Juice was a lot more over in New York and Philly than Philly, I thought. I don't know if you noticed the same thing, but not that he wasn't over in Philly, but he got such a huge pop in New York. I thought, would you agree with that? Or
I would agree.
Yeah,
I think, but I thought the pops for him was like really, really big in New York. It was still big in Philly, but not. Yeah. I think it probably helped too that he was like one of the first like big stars to come out.
Yeah.
Like, that probably helped him. The next match was the 6-man tag team match where God and Jado defeated Rocky Romero and Roppongi 3K in 10:46. Tamatanga pinning Rocky with the kill shot. I don't even know what the fuck is the kill shot? Oh, that was when Tonga Loa like throws him into the basically from a powerbomb position, like he throws him into the gun stun. So I guess that's called the kill shot. First of all, so we can talk about like from a macro sense what the fans are like now, but here's a good way to do it. The number of Bullet Club fans at these shows has greatly decreased. I mean, compared to MSG and compared to Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor New Japan shows on the East Coast. I mean, those used to be like a sea of Bullet Club shirts.
Yeah.
Now you see very, very few Bullet Club shirts. Like I would say they're the vast minority. Whereas like you see a lot more LIJ shirts now. You see a lot of LIJ hats.
You see a lot of diverse stuff, not just LIJ. I saw a ton of Ishii shirts.
Well, I'm saying LIJ is like the majority now. I think
LIJ
is the biggest.
But it isn't like taking over like Bullet Club did, which is good because it's just a lot of different people, a fan of a lot of different things. Not like there's just one guy that's over. Everybody's over because there are a lot of Ishii shirts. There are a lot of Tanahashi, Okada, Jay White. Unfortunately, there was a lot. There was I'm trying to think of who else. I think I saw a lot of Suzuki shirts, even though he wasn't there. I saw
there's some old school shirts.
Old school wrestling shirts.
But here's what so here's the point I'm trying to make though. So there's not a lot of Bullet Club fans left. I think a lot of those people went to AEW. The ones that are here still are big God fans. And we had 2 charmers in the row in front of us. Do you remember what they did during this one? They whipped out their cell phones and they videotaped Roppongi 3K's entrance, which by the way is actually not allowed. But while they did this, while they were recording Roppongi 3K's entrance, they didn't just boo them. They started chanting Roppongi 3K because I guess that's supposed to be.
I didn't know that's what they were yelling. Okay,
I guess that. So there you go. The Bullet Club fans remain the worst, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Guys, that's great, guys.
There's not
a 1995 joke, but whatever.
But like, why? If you hate them so much that you're coming up with homophobic puns,
Yeah, I know.
Why are you recording their entrance? It's so weird. But yeah, those two Bullet Club fans, if you somehow happen to be listening, fuck you. If probably not, but anyway.
But they still weren't as annoying as Sunday.
No, I mean, look, that was really like the only super annoying thing they did all night.
They were pretty quiet for the rest of the night, actually.
Yeah.
I think about it, but
yeah, so I guess it could have been worse. It's not. I mean, this crowd in general was so much better than all those Ring of Honor Hammerstein crowds. I mean,
yeah, this was a much better than usual Hammerstein crowd. I guess because it's not Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I remember what those crowds were like.
They were really bad.
It was just so fucking terrible. But yeah, this probably was the best crowd I've ever seen a show at Hammerstein with. So, but yeah, as far as like this match itself, I thought it was pretty fun. Match of the night at this point, like 3.25. I don't even have thoughts on this match.
No, I agree. It's probably match of the night up to that point. And I love Roppongi 3K, and I wish they would do more with them. I wish I could have gotten to see their tag title shot, but that was on Friday. That was for the titles, right? Because I remember hearing it wasn't, and then it was, and then okay.
It was for the titles, yeah.
I think they're like my favorite tag team probably right now in like the world, and I hope they do more with them. But I think for that to happen, they may need to go to the heavyweight division. I don't know if that's happening anytime soon, because if they leave the junior tag, then what does the junior tag have? Really? But yeah. And I love seeing Rocky and them team together. I think they're an awesome team of three guys. Awesome trio. But we saw another awesome trio after the main event Sunday. Another you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, you don't remember the trio in the ring after the main event on Sunday?
Oh yeah. Well, they're in the next match, buddy.
Okay, let's go.
All right, match 5. Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Rock and Roll Express defeated Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, and Bushi in 10-19 when Tanahashi pinned Bushi with the high fly flow. First of all, Tetsuya Naito, that guy, he's pretty popular.
Yeah.
The crowd went like so fucking nuts for him. So if anyone thinks him losing any matches has hurt his popularity, it hasn't so far.
And they love them some Sonata and Evil too.
Yeah, but
Sonata got huge pop.
Well, we're talking about this match right now.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Shingo, they like Shingo and Bushi
and they like
too.
Shingo and Bushi got a big pop.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is all of LIJ is very over in America.
I mean, Bushi got the least pop, but he got chance in Philadelphia.
Yeah, when his music hit, when his video played in New York, he got a big pop.
Okay. Unfortunately, who didn't get a big pop was the Rock and Roll Express in New York. And I thought it was interesting because they actually did get a huge reaction in Philly. I think they were hurt by coming out right after Naito.
Yeah.
Because they did the LIJ team first, one at a time.
And I was confused by that. As soon as that happened, I was like, LIJ is coming out first? I don't know.
Well, because they're the heels, so they always do that. And then Rock and Roll Express came out next, and the crowd was like, that's nice. We just saw Tetsuya Naito.
They kind of gave them the reaction Tanahashi used to get.
That's true.
I'm like, oh yeah, you're legends. Cool. We like you. We just don't love you.
Tanahashi got a gigantic pop.
He finally has the popularity he deserves in America. He always used to be like, everyone was like, yay, you're legendary, right? Okay, I guess you're cool. But now people love him. People are screaming his name. People
go nuts.
Women, everyone, people are buying
New York and Philly.
Shirts. Yeah, New York and Philly. They love Tanahashi, and I'm glad he's finally gotten that popularity. And it was because of that storyline they did, I think.
I agree. Here's my theory on this is, first of all, if you're a newer fan to New Japan, you don't have to be that new to have never seen Tanahashi do something big, because he won the G1 in 2015.
Yeah.
He lost to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom in 2016 in the main event. And then after that, he really didn't do anything that big, because, he was in the IC feud for the next 2 years, and he had some big matches, but he was not this big deal. And then he wins the G1 in 2018, so everybody saw him go on that run and win the G1, and you see him go to the Wrestle Kingdom this year and beat Kenny for the title. And even though he only had the title for a month, I think that's still like now people were like, oh, well, now I get it. Now I've seen him as this big legend win the G1 and win the title. So if you came as a fan, after, January 4th, 2016, that was the first time you really saw Tanahashi like do something really big. So I think that probably was a big deal, a big part of it. And part of it too, I just think, and we're, this is a more macro point, since the AEW thing, since like a lot of the fans in America that only cared about the Bullet Club now are probably, all AEW fans. I just think the remaining US hardcores are like just converging more at the Japanese fans, like in, like their opinions and who's popular. So the people left are like the people who watch like a lot of shows probably and, know who's popular in Japan and, probably do like want, I don't know if they like consciously want to be like the fans in Japan, but they probably want, they basically end up with a lot of the same people, a lot of the same people that are popular in Japan end up popular in America now. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the tastes are converging more, and the hardcore US fan base that's left is becoming more like the hardcore fan base in Japan. So like it's more of like a converging of the taste basically. But yeah, by the way, the other thing too about the entrance, like, did you see Naito broke the curtain?
Oh, so, I thought he just left the thing like hanging.
Well, I think it was like because it took him a while to get it down. So I don't know.
Is that why Ishii in the next match went through like the side?
I don't know why he did that. I think he just missed.
Oh, okay.
And this is also when I was talking about before when Haley said that thing about how American fans shouldn't have thrown the streamers because New Japan doesn't have streamers. I guess some people didn't know that, and they were throwing these streamers from time to time, and they threw some here. And Naito immediately picked them up and just started throwing them at people. Like he threw them at poor Tiger Hattori, who's reffing his last match ever. He threw them at Tiger. He threw them at
his last match ever in America.
Ever in America. Threw them at Tiger. Threw them at Tanahashi. It was something. But so the real reason why New Japan doesn't have streamers because Naito is a jerk. I guess. So. We'll just throw them at everybody.
He's a bully.
But yeah, so this is this is what this match like. At one point there was a Robert Gibson hot tag, which honestly was a little bit rough.
I mean, I don't think Gibson obviously can't do as much as Ricky. If you can't tell from watching these two matches, that he's the one that needs to that has more bumps on his body, I guess you could say, or whatever. Because there was that missed drop kick spot where Tanahashi and Ricky went for the drop kick and missed, and Gibson just didn't. He just stood there. I guess the story's supposed to be, I knew it was gonna miss, so I stopped. But like the other two did the drop kick, and he was just like, nope. I was like, okay, I guess he's paying better attention to what's happening. I don't know, but and then after the match came the ceremony, which I did kind of worry. I hope the crowd is okay with this because I remember that. Well, this was a long time ago, but remember that ceremony for I think the ref in New York at the Ring of Honor show. I think Harley Race was there or something. Remember the Japanese ref ceremony and the crowd like freaked the fuck out because the Briscoes had just lost or some shit? Do you remember this, John?
You said about the ref? Yes, I remember. And they freaked out. Like the fans booed a lot or something?
Yeah, and it was a big... So I'm glad this went well. This went better. The ceremony afterwards. It was very...
I wanted to mention some other things from the match first.
All right.
So first of all, Ricky Morton did a dive to the floor. That was really cool. And Naito kept making fun of Ricky Morton's pointing towards the sky, which I thought was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But that was probably like the big highlights. And they did do the triple drop kick on Naito at one point.
Yeah, when they actually had it. Yeah.
But yeah, I went 3 stars. It was a good match.
Yeah.
Other than like some rough spots for Gibson. But anyway, the retirement ceremony was great, and the crowd was very into it. Like you said. So. I don't know. Do you have anything to add about the retirement ceremony?
No, it was adorable. Him and his grandkids and everybody there.
As far as the next 6-man tag, Goto, Ishii, and Amazing Red versus Jay White, Chase Owens, and Gato. As you mentioned, Ishii came through the wrong curtain.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. not many people are going to get this, but I guess if there are people who like anime may remember this. An episode of the anime Bleach where a character breaks through a wall to get into a room where there was a perfectly open door like 2 feet away. And he was like, no, I went through the wall because I felt like it, basically. Which made no sense in the story because it then shows a shot and it shows that there was a doorway without even a door on it. The door had been broken down. But he must have seen that and said, no, I'm just going to go through the wall because that's what I do. And that kind of reminded me what Ishii did. It felt like he went through the wall. He was like, yeah, I could go through the entrance, but, that's too easy. I'm going to go through, like, this curtain I'm not supposed to go through and just, like, walk through it and just say.
And Ishii was, like, so fucking over.
Yeah.
Again, both nights.
Ishii was... People realize how good he is. Goto got the biggest reaction I think he's ever gotten in America when he came out.
Yeah. He was like, he wasn't like a rock star like some of the other people were, but the crowd liked him.
Yeah. And then, I thought this was my favorite.
Do you really quickly before we talk about the actual match, like the Goto thing to me is in like, Goto and Tanahashi, like those are like examples I think of how this audience is different from the old like Bullet Club audience / Ring of Honor audience. Like these are like, this audience is like hardcore New Japan fans. Like, not everybody in the building, obviously, because I'm sure there's people who just went because they went. But, like, the percentage of people that really watch New Japan was way higher. So, I mean, you remember when we used to be in those lines outside of, like, Hammerstein and other places for those joint shows at Ring of Honor, and people be talking about all sorts of shit, and, like, you can tell they barely, if they watch New Japan, they barely did it all. So, that's why I'm like, it's just a very different audience, I think. But yeah, the crowd that was here likes Goto and they loved Ishii. So Goto pinned Gato in 12:02 with the GTR. What were you going to say about the actual match? Go ahead.
Oh, it was probably my favorite match of the night. Was what I was going to say. It was just mostly because Ishii and Goto are just so fucking awesome, both of them. And Red's pretty good too. And just like sometimes I wonder if it's possible for Ishii to have a bad match that isn't entertaining, that isn't fun, and Goto when he's on, he's just fucking unbelievable, I think.
You love that Jay White.
Anyway, so that was so they were great despite who they were facing. I mean, Geto is kind of just like a manager now, but when he needs to play the guy that you want to see get his ass kicked, he's good at it. And Chase Owens was there. And so was the other guy.
So Quinlan's like a famous Jay White hater, people, if you don't know.
I am now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're like a really big Jay White hater.
I'm not sure if the listeners know that, but...
Okay. Maybe famous is the wrong word.
Famous to you, but... Famous
to me. But yeah, I didn't like this match quite as much as you did. I went 3 1/4. I just thought it was pretty fun, but not like the greatest match ever or anything. So the next match...
What was your favorite match of the night, then?
The main event.
Oh, okay.
The next match was the Never Openweight Championship match. Kenta defeating Yoshihashi in 25:04 with the go to sleep to make his first defense of the Never Openweight Championship. Okay. No. Before you do, I want to talk a little about this. Here's where I think they fucked up, okay? When they put these shows together.
I can tell you where they fucked up, but I'll hear what you say first.
If this show was just supposed to be a Korakuen Hall level show, which is what the rest of the card felt like, down to the main event also being the main event of a Korakuen in a few weeks, or not a few weeks, next week, I should say.
Yeah, a week from today.
A week from today. That's fine. And I think the Philly show almost felt more honest about it, where it's like, yes, this is a Korakuen. We're not going to have some big title match. But where they fucked up is putting on a big, like a never open weight title match. That title never gets defended at Korakuen, or very, very rarely.
Happen once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while. Like when's the last time? Probably Elgin and Goto, right? Like last year.
Yeah.
I mean that okay. So I'll amend my statement.
Didn't Cobb fight for it at some point recently?
I thought that was the Cobb title match was at like Hino Kuni or something.
Oh, okay.
It was like one of those, or like
anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm wrong. Move on. Anyway,
so here's where I think they fucked up by trying to put on like a big-ish match, but putting Yoshihashi as the challenger. I mean, look, poor Yoshihashi. God bless the guy. He tries his hardest. he's sometimes he tries his hardest, and he's not the most talented wrestler in the world. I don't even think a lot of his fans would necessarily disagree with that statement, but he gives a lot with what he's given, which, I'm trying to think of the nice way to put over the idea. Like he's got his deficiencies in the ring and like from a charisma standpoint, but he's, likable in his role, I think. And, he has his fair share of fans, which, if you like go talk shit about Yoshihashi on Twitter and one of them will let you know about it. The problem is he's never been popular in America. I mean, he was the one guy on that MSG show who got no reaction. Probably he was the only New Japan guy on the.
He was the only New Japan guy that got no reaction. Even Chase got a huge pop when he came out.
Yeah,
Yoshihashi literally the only one, and not only that, even before that, remember Kenny Omega defended the U.S. title against him in Ring of Honor, and this was back when had all the Bullet Club fans that loved them some Kenny Omega. I never saw the match. I wasn't there live. I didn't watch it, but I heard the match really lacked heat because there was no reaction to Yoshihashi came out, and the crowd was like, "We don't care about this guy, even though you're facing even though you're facing Kenny." I could be wrong about that, but I know Yoshihashi got no reaction coming out, but I heard like the match lacked heat because it was
Yoshihashi. No, I didn't see it either, but I heard the same thing.
So when I saw they booked that title match, I was like, I didn't think he'd get booed, but I'd just be like, this crowd is gonna die because they don't care. But instead, I just thought he'd get no reaction. There'd just be silence. But instead, he got booed both nights, which I want to ask all these people, why are you booing him? What did he do to you?
Look. Let's go. This is where I got, like, I made a joke on Sunday.
You've explained to me why TJP has been booed. Whether or not his Twitter or because he's a WWE guy or that's how you see him. But why Yoshihashi? What did he do?
It makes no sense to me to boo Yoshihashi because it's like,
he's not a meninist. He never went to WWE. I don't understand. What did he do?
He didn't do anything wrong, except maybe if you don't think he's that great of a wrestler, it just almost feels mean to boo Yoshihashi. Yeah. He's like the only guy on this roster who's never held a title, basically, other than some other people that are barely out of Young Lion territory.
He didn't face a guy that you all love because Kenta got booed too, and he's the heel supposed to. So I was like, okay, so who are you people going to cheer for? Because you booed both guys coming out.
Yoshihashi is not even the most what's the word? Like to win he's not even the only guy named Yoshi to win. Like the other guy named Yoshi in New Japan won a championship. There is a more accomplished man named Yoshi in this that's not even with the company anymore that actually managed to win a title, and Yoshihashi has not. So I feel bad for this man. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You can feel bad for this man, and it feels like booing him is like, I don't know, booing someone's grandmother or something. It just feels like, why are we being this mean?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I mean, there were people that tried to start Yoshihashi chants. They never really succeeded in New York.
He kind of got the crowd behind him towards the end of the match a little bit. And I think there would have been somewhat of a pop if he had won. I think a lot of people would have cheered just because they saw a title change live. Yeah. But I think some people would have, because there were some people I was screaming for him. He got more people to like him the next night from what he did right before he left. But he got the biggest right before he had to walk to the back.
Yes, he got the biggest pop of the weekend right before he had to leave.
After he was no longer in the match.
The most Yoshihashi thing of all time.
This match
we'll talk about
just
that.
Went on and
yes, okay. So let me talk about the match itself. Kenta stalled forever at the start, which was very boring. Then it was just like Kenta very slowly beating him up, and like he made him look kind of stupid at one point where he like dared him to hit him, and then just took him down by the leg instead. That like we don't need to make Yoshi look stupid. That's not helping. He did fire up with like a slap and a kick and then a spit at him. That was pretty great. But then Kenta took him down from the mounted forearms and the game over. When Yoshi finally every time Yoshi would really get going with like those forearms, and then Kenta just like kind of just takes him down like an idiot. It makes him look like a moron. But then there's a ref bump and a low blow. God runs in. I was ready to be more annoyed at that, but it was just a setup for Tiger Hattori to run in and drag them both out by their hair. And has to be said, Tiger Hattori got a million times bigger reaction than Yoshihashi did in this match.
Yeah.
I mean, the crowd went nuts for that spot.
They went crazy when he came out and like grabbed them by the hair like a grandfather, taking them, saying, you two are grounded. What are you? Why are you two? Where are your hall passes? Get back to class, type thing.
Yeah.
Like the school principals here. It was great. But,
and there was a butterfly lock tease, but kind of made the ropes. It was probably the height of the actual match. And then Yoshi fired up pretty well with slaps, but Kenta finally put him away with the go to sleep. I said a decent ending saved it a little bit, but I still only went 2.5 stars. It's just too long and just not very good.
I think I liked it a little bit better than you. I got really into it towards the end. I just thought they could have shaved off some time, especially with the delay. This match didn't really need to go 25 minutes.
Yeah, look, they were like, motherfuckers, we don't care that the show 3 hours, started an hour and a half late. We are going to do 25 minute of Yoshihashi match and Yoshi guy's entire intro.
Yeah.
Like that weird intro that plays for some of his matches. Yeah. It's like the fucking Special K of New Japan. Because remember how Special K had like a really long intro when they were just jobbers?
I do. And he got all that, and it's like, okay. And none of the other matches were that long, just this one, because I guess they think title matches have to go long. Towards the end, I got really into it, but and there were times where I thought he might actually do this, but not yet. Maybe he'll win the tag titles at the Dome. I guess we'll see if he wins the World Tag League with but I don't know. Friggin', is that really what they're gonna do with Ishii at the Dome? Put him in a friggin' tag title match. I haven't thought about that till now. If Yoshihashi is going to win the tag titles at the Dome, he's probably gonna be teaming with Ishii.
Yeah, probably.
And that's where they're gonna stick Ishii at the Dome in the fucking heavyweight tag title match again. Anyway, now I just realized that you move on. I need to take a minute to absorb this.
The main event, Sonata and Evil defeating Kazuchika Okada and Kota Ibushi in 1846 when Evil pinned Ibushi with the Evil. First of all, did you see the girl in the front row? Could you see her from where you were sitting? Who was like absolutely going in? Okay. There was a girl in the front row who loved Evil more than I think anyone's ever loved anything. Like I kept, because where I was sitting, basically I was looking down and to the right, and like she was right in that front row on that right side. So she was like right in my line of vision the entire time. And she was just like hopping up and down and screaming. So I tweeted out like, there's a girl in the front row who loves Evil a whole lot. And this girl found me and was like, my first front row show, laughed my fucking ass off, whoops. So I told her afterwards, like, I thought she was great anyway, but half the reason why I tweeted that was just because I thought it was funny to write this girl loves Evil, basically. It's a funny sentence to say, you know? The girl loves Evil, the crowd loves Evil. But yeah, she was great. Shout out to Amanda Helen, apparently, at Midnight Time 23 on Twitter. Just funny that she actually found my tweet about that. But yeah, then I thought the match itself was really great. Good action, especially when everybody was in there, to just like killing each other. I didn't take a ton of notes for this. I guess I was tired at this point and just kind of considering.
If I went back and watched it, this might be my match of the night. I think it only isn't because I was pretty tired as well at this point because the show started 90 minutes late, as we said. So it was pretty late at this point. And I'm also thinking, what train are we going to catch? Are we going to have to be sitting in Penn Station for an hour?
Which was the answer was yes.
I did. Yeah, but I didn't want to leave the show early. I knew at this point when the main event was starting, okay, we're not going to have to worry about catching the last train or anything. The show is going to be over long before the last train goes out. We'll be fine. But
the last train goes at like 2 a.m. now.
Yeah. It's back to 2 a.m.? Okay.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, 2 a.m., and then they went to like 1 a.m., so now they're back to 2 a.m.
I guess I think only on weekends or something.
Probably, yeah. That's what it always was, and then they stopped doing on weekends, and I was like, well, that's stupid, because a lot of people stay out a lot later on weekends. But okay, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But,
so I looked at the schedule and I was like, yeah, we're in no danger. Mr. The last train.
We're in no danger. And we stayed for the whole thing. When Evil got to cut his promo at the end of the show, which was awesome. I was just a little upset Sonata didn't say anything. I was waiting for him to say New York is his favorite city or whatever.
We're not his favorite city. That's the answer.
What?
I guess we're not his favorite city because he didn't say anything.
I guess he didn't cut the promo because he didn't get the pinfall and he thought maybe it's against the rules. I don't know. To talk. I don't know.
No,
Sonata does rarely talk.
New York is not his favorite city.
but every city's his favorite city.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Sonata does really speak. He only does
Yeah.
when he wins the main event and has to say something. Meanwhile, Ishii just leaves if he wins the main event. But
that's why if you look at those match by match files,
I was one that told you this, John.
Yeah.
Like if you see how long the show is left, if there's like nothing left, and Ishii's in the main event, like if there's barely enough time for the main event to go, then you know Ishii's winning because he's not going to cut a post-match promo. He's just going to walk to the back.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I want to get back to the end of the. Let's get back to the end of the match because Evil gave Ibushi the evil.
Yes.
And most people would be like, I know Andrew Rich made this joke on Twitter already, but most people would take an STO on their back. And Ibushi's like, no, motherfucker. I take it.
Yeah, take the move. Yeah, land on my neck. No, Ibushi. You have to, land on my neck. Sure, whatever. You know what? Whatever.
It looked like he died.
I know. I looked at that and I'm like, what? You don't have to land on your neck for that move. What is he doing? Like
him and Naito, they're both like that. They're both like, if you tell them to take a move, they're like, on my neck. It's like, no, you don't have to take it on my neck. And it's like, no, you don't have to take it on your neck. But they're both like the ultimate neck bumpers. It's something. Yeah. But yeah, it's Coda, I guess. But yeah, I thought the match was really good. There was like, there were portions that weren't like up to like a really, really high standard, which is why I didn't feel comfortable going 4 on it. Like there were some slower portions. Like Okada and Sonata had a couple like little slow exchanges, but the Evil and Ibushi stuff I thought was awesome in this match, and that really made me look forward to their match at King of Pro Wrestling. So, yeah. At the end of the day, I heard there were some people who thought the show, I guess, wasn't very good. I don't know. I think people had unrealistic expectations. I think if you take out the Never title match, especially, that the rest of the show was really fun. But if the show did have like a problem, I think it was just that match being like a 25-minute drag,
Yeah.
But other than that, though, I still enjoyed the show. I still had a good time.
Let's talk about the show that was better. I would say overall, the Sunday show.
Well, why you sound weird all of a sudden? Did you like move your mic closer to your face?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I did. I didn't know.
Okay. The following night, Sunday in Philly. First of all, yeah, this show was better. And would you have guessed that when the cards came out? Because I sure wouldn't have. The Universal.
I thought there would be a chance because the main event had that elimination matches, which are always awesome.
Well, there was like the universal opinion was that that this was the weakest of the 3 cards. I don't know how all went. I mean, maybe we should have asked Damon, I guess, which show he preferred because he went to all 3 of them on the Super J Cast. I mean, but I thought this show was easily better than New York.
Yeah, well, who thought it was thought Saturday was the weakest?
No. I think this. A lot of people thought this was the weakest of the 3 cards.
Sunday show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it did have 4 straight Young Lion matches. I mean.
Yeah, but they were all fun.
Okay, so let's talk. No, I meant when the cards came out, Quinlan.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Fighting Spirit Unleashed Philly. It did a sellout of 1,030 from the ex-ECW arena, the 2,300 arena. First of all, that thing looks more different every time we go.
Yeah, I can never recognize it. It always looks completely different from the last time I was there.
Because we haven't been there since 2015, right? I think.
I can't imagine. I can't remember going there for anything else.
Because the Ring of Honor
show in 2015.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor New Japan, which again made it very interesting to compare the crowd reaction since we had, literally seen a crossover Ring of Honor New Japan show in this building. So it was really something to come to the same building just for a New Japan show and see how different the crowd reacted. The opener, Rocky Romero defeated Clark Connors in 9:03 with the Diablo armbar. Rocky is so over to the New Japan US crowds. Well, and he's just.
Do people remember him from back when he used to be in ROH years ago, or do they just
maybe? But he's been in New Japan for so long now.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah, they're like people. I think it's more like just no matter when you started watching, you probably have.
You love Rocky Romero, yeah. And also, if people are watching the English, feed, they hear him on commentary, and I think he's awesome on the commentary. I wish they have him on English commentary more often. They might love him for that too. But the thing is, American audiences, they love them some Rocky Romero. So yeah.
So he won this with the Diablo armbar. There was at one point Rocky. So Connors kept chopping Rocky, and he did like a strut away from a drop kick. But then he's like doing like the cocky strut, like he's just dodge the drop kick. But he immediately starts selling his chest, like, "Oh, I'm strutting, but this hurts." Yeah. I thought that was really funny. And then I thought it was really funny too when he did the the "I'll make you cry" in Japanese, but he did to an American in America, which I thought was like he's talking to an American and we're in America and he's doing his Japanese catchphrase. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, funny.
But yeah, Rocky gets the cross arm breaker for an immediate tap out. I thought this was a really fun opener. I went 3 1/4.
Yeah, this was a really fun match. I thought, all the Young Lion matches on this night were also fun, like they usually are.
Mikey Nichols. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna
say? Except for maybe the next one, but we'll.
Well, you're gonna have to take the lead here because Mikey Nichols was Carl Fredericks, which Mikey won in 10 minutes with the Mikey bomb. I saw the rest of the card and the fact that there was nothing else I really wanted to miss any of, so I used this as my piss break. And I also found out here that there's a $10 card minimum with the 2300 arena, which what fucking arena has a card minimum? Just for concessions. So that's I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me?
I guess one where they're only selling $2. They're selling bottles of water for only $2 instead of $6. When I saw a bottle of water was only $2, I nearly I had to do a double take because the night before Manhattan Center a bottle of water was $6. So
although I will say $10 for an Angry Orchard was maybe it's just my brain is broken from all the years of stadium and New York pricing, but I was like, wow, only $10. I would have guessed 13 or something. Mikey Nichols and Carl Fredericks. So I didn't see a lot of this. What do you think of it?
Crowd didn't like Mikey Nichols in this match. The Philly crowd was I think maybe he's not. I don't think he's this thing with America is you have to be if you're not that over, we'll just not like you, I guess. I don't know. He hasn't really done that much in New Japan yet. So maybe in a couple of years when he comes back, he'll have gotten a bigger push. He'll get a better reaction. But this show, the previous show, I think he got a good reaction only because he was teaming with Juice. Here he was by himself. And he got booed for most of the match. The crowd was cheering Fredericks. But he went with it. He just went with it. And, played, subtle heel for a lot of it. There was parts it seemed like the crowd thought Fredericks might win. He wasn't going to. As everyone expected, Nichols won with the Mikey bomb. And, shook, Fredericks' hand after the match. After the match, Kai was kind of like, yeah, Nichols, you're all right. Yeah, we don't hate you as much as we did before.
Yeah, I thought the fisting sequence was actually pretty good, but I just didn't see enough of the match to rate it. So
before we move on, do you remember... I'm trying to remember now if it was Connors or the next guy. A Young Lion was out doing what they do where they stand at ringside, to keep fans back or whatever. Later in the show, and he had a jacket on. His neck was bruised, all completely fucked up. I'm trying to remember which one it was now. Do you remember who got their neck fucked up?
I don't know.
It was completely covered in bruises, and I was I'm assuming from an earlier. It might have been during this match. It might have been Coughlin. I'm trying to remember who it was. I couldn't remember if it was Coughlin or Connors, but I remember a spot, but in the Rocky match where his neck would be all bruised. But the next match was the best of the Young Lions matches of this night.
I didn't think so. So that's good. That's
just because it was so much. Because I just thought Archer was awesome. Because they did the thing where we're going to show...
let me give the match first before you do that. So Lance Archer beats Alex Coughlin in 8:25 with the EBD claw. Now go ahead, Quinlan.
The crowd decided to make Archer mad by cheering him. That was the way they booed him, basically. Because a couple people cheered for him, and he was like, shut up! So they started chanting Archer, and let's go Archer, and stuff, and he was getting more and more angry, and I don't give a shit about any of you, and all that stuff, and I thought that was awesome. I love how he just kills all the Young Lions on his way to the ring, and then just beats the shit out of them.
Well, it's only one guy in America. He just comes back around and hit the guy again.
Yeah. Poor guy. But I don't know. I thought this was a really fun, 8 minutes. They had some great spots where Archer went for the choke slam and Coffin like rolled him up and he I think
Coughlin.
Coughlin. Is that how you pronounce it? Coughlin?
Yeah, Kevin Kelly corrected us on an airing a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So
Like,
Coughlin.
Coughlin.
Yeah, rolled him up. That was a great spot. I thought this was a really fun, nice little Young Lions match.
I only went 3 stars on it. I didn't like it as much as you did. I thought Archer didn't sell enough for Coughlin compared to how he did for Carl, but it was fine. I liked it. Next match, Amazing Red defeated Red Narita in 8:57 with the code Red. Okay, match was pretty solid. Here's where the 2 idiots in our section really drove me crazy. We had these 2 fucking fans, okay, that were not technically in our section actually, because we were at the very end of the row in row 3 in the north section. Row 3, seats 21, 22, I think, and they're in the front row of the northwest section, which is like one of these weird corner sections. So they were basically directly next to us, almost we'd walk a minute and we'd be at their section. So, not a minute, a second, I should say. So these 2 guys, they were very much in the American wrestling fan stereotype of, treating the fucking show like it's their own open mic night. And it's nobody is coming to a fucking wrestling show to hear you, okay? No one cares about your stupid jokes, which 99% of them weren't even funny. The funniest people in the crowd are always the people who have come up with one really funny joke with great timing. There's one in the main event that I'll mention that was really, really funny. But those people pick their fucking spot, and they come up with one really funny joke, and they shut the fuck up the rest of the night. These 2 idiots, and just like many of the idiots who do open mic night, were just fucking shouting stupid shit all goddamn night. And they were not being offensive or anything. They weren't shouting racist or homophobic shit or anything like that. Those, the thing we talked about from New York, but just the dumbest fucking shit. At one point they just, during this match, they just started yelling for Vader time. What does that have to do with anything?
At the top of their lungs to the point where no one laughed. Yeah. Everyone just looked at him buddy, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he apologized because no one laughed at that. In fact, there was a silence, what are you doing? But,
yeah. They're just the dumbest fucking idiots. And look, and again, I
don't think they were drunk. I think they were just being stupid.
If by chance these people listen, because the Vader time thing will make it very obvious who you were, you're a fucking moron, and you hurt my enjoyment of the show at certain points, especially they were at their worst during this match for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But they were bad pretty much the entire night. You hurt my enjoyment of the show. You hurt probably lots of people's enjoyment of the show. Next time, just come to the fucking show and cheer for the wrestlers and fucking enjoy yourself without making a fucking goddamn spectacle of yourself. It's not open mic night. This is not your fucking comedy routine. Shut the fuck up.
No one's laughing.
No one's laughing.
Start laughing. You can just keep making your jokes, but no one's going to start laughing, buddy.
It's at the very least, be funny. You weren't even remotely funny. I don't think I chuckled at a single goddamn joke the entire night that they made.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Red won with the code Red. The match was pretty solid. I would go 3 stars.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Not a lot to say about this one. It was fine.
No,
I didn't really. Maybe a little disappointed.
Really love Narita.
Yeah.
He got the biggest reaction, I think, of the Young Lions that night. So.
Yeah. Then we got into some good shit here, and this is where the card got where I think the card really separated itself from New York. The undercard tags here I thought were really good. First of all, Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, and Shingo Takagi defeated Juice Robinson and Roppongi 3K in 11:45 when Sonata submitted Yo with the skull end. Once again, LIJ was very over, especially Naito, who was just ridiculously over again. Juice Robinson was also extremely over, which he did not used to be. So he's very over now, and he was very fired up too when he got in the ring. The Shingo and Sho had a short meeting towards the start that was very cool because remember their history.
Yeah, I thought they'd make a bigger deal of that, but it didn't really. And I was like,
yeah, because I think it's kind of over now.
For now,
at least
it'll come back one day, I think. But now they're in different divisions, so it's going to be a little while.
Yeah, I really love Naito making fun of the Juice pose. That was one of my favorite parts. Is that he kept doing the arm thing. Every time he'd get alone with Juice or he'd be staring at Juice, he would just start doing the arm thing and going Juice. Naito making fun of people's poses is the greatest. I love when Naito gets to do that. So, people really love the Paradise Lock. Like, I know that annoys some people listening, I'm sure, but people absolutely love that fucking stupid Paradise Lock. Like, they went crazy when he got him in that Paradise Lock, and then like built the crowd up through the drop kick. But I don't know. Did you expect that move to be that over?
I thought it'd be over, but not that over.
Yeah. I mean, people went really nuts for that. This got the only "This is awesome" chant of the night, which felt a little, a little overblown maybe, and I don't even like the chant in general, but still, it shows that people are really into the match. And then pretty quickly after that, Sonata tapped out Yo. This one, I really wish had just gotten more time, because like this was like so good while it lasted. And I think if you gave this another 5 or 10 minutes, it would have even gotten to like 4-star territory. But I went 3.5. I really enjoyed it, and I thought this was a really good match.
Yeah, this is a fun match. I agree.
The next match, Kota Ibushi and TJP being defeated by Evil and Bushi in 11:23 when Evil pinned TJP with the Evil. Again, this was a really fast-paced and fun tag team match. Evil was very over. Huh?
TJP was booed out of the building again.
And he did not work heel at all in this match. So you can't even say he was working heel and leading into it. Like, he was trying to work as a babyface because he was teaming with Kota Ibushi, I guess. And the crowd just would not have any of it. They just booed him the entire time. Because he didn't do anything heel in this match, right? I don't think
not that I remember. No.
Bushi was very popular. Like, this was the most I can remember the crowd ever cheering Bushi, and they even chanted for him a few times during this match. I never remember them doing that in the past. But yeah, and he split the mist into Bushi's face, which the crowd went nuts for the mist. And then Evil hit the Evil on TJP for the pin. I went 3.5 on this one too. I thought these were two really fun tag team matches back to back.
Yeah.
No other thoughts on them?
No, I was happy Bushi got his champ, because I think Bushi doesn't get as much love as he deserves. But
yeah, the crowd really liked the LIJ team here in general, and Kota at one point when the fans were chanting for Evil, like I tweeted this at the time, I was like, Kota Bushi seems mad at us for chanting for Evil. Like, he just turned, like he's like gave us like a look like at the crowd, like, what's wrong with you?
Oh, yeah, I thought there's something that those guys were the only ones in the show crowd cheering TJP, if you remember. Those two to the point where TJP actually turned around and like blew him a kiss or something.
Yeah,
they kept chanting for him, I guess, just because, I don't know. It's like,
but they're also men's rights guys.
Or maybe they just thought, it'll be funny if we cheer the guy. Because they didn't start cheering to him until like after the crowd had been booing him forever. I think it's like, it'd be cool if we cheer for the guy that everyone hates. Let's do that. I don't think. I mean, maybe it did, but I don't think it had to do with that.
But look, they're just dipshits. I mean, we're already
they just want to be trolls either way, and I think that's what they were just doing.
Yeah. The main event, the elimination match, it was Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and the Rock and Roll Express against the Bullet Club, Jay White, Kenta, God, Chase Owens, and Gato. They said something weird when they announced the rules, because they did say it was going to be over the top rope rules, which I was really hoping they would.
You mentioned this, but I didn't hear them say what you thought they said, so I must have been listening. But
they said something like it's going to be two people starting, and then when one person gets eliminated, another one comes in, which made it sound like it was going to be gauntlet style. And I was like, what the fuck? But like, I don't even know if New Japan's ever done that. I mean, they probably have done they've done gauntlet matches, I think, but I don't know if they've done it with the over the top rope or not. But that turned out to be wrong anyway, so there was no gauntlet style. So the Rock and Rolls, first of all, were way more over than they were in New York. Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
When they came out, the crowd went nuts for them. So I don't know why that was, but this crowd was just so much more into the Rock and Roll. Maybe because they were in the main event. They weren't coming out right after Naito. I don't know. They could have been, or maybe just Philly likes them more. I don't know. It's very weird.
There were a number of factors that could have led to it.
But they were very, very, they were cheered a lot in Philly. Poor Yoshihashi got booed again coming out, which was fucked up. And then, so basically, at one point, Goto got Tanahashi and even the Rock and Roll Express to do that weird pose that he likes to do. You know, where he sticks both hands out and goes like, "Hey," that's I guess based on some kind of fucking sushi commercial or something. Mm-hmm. But didn't you think that was really funny when he got
that was really cool. Yeah.
Tama Tonga dabbed at one point. I don't know why. And this also where I noted Robert Gibson. He has like a great, like disgusted or outraged face because, like, at one point Gato tried to go over and give him the too sweet, and he looked like he was about to throw up. It was so. He's just like, "Oh, how dare you!" Ricky Morton got a hot tag from Tanahashi. That was really cool. And then Gato was the first one eliminated about 10 minutes in, over the top rope by the Rock and Roll Express. Then we saw Ricky Morton hit the Canadian Destroyer, which, did you know he could do that? Because I heard about that already. I heard about that already.
So I was shocked. Yeah.
And the crowd was shocked too, because everybody went completely nuts for that. But then Jay White immediately dumped him over the top rope. Yeah. So that was a great heel spot for Jay White, and the crowd was very angry. And then Gibson got rolled up by Chase Owens right after, so that made it 5-on-4 Bullet Club. And then Yoshi tossed Tongaloa over the top, but then so Yoshi tossed him over the top rope, but in the most Yoshihashi thing possible, he celebrated for too long, and Tama Tonga dumped him from behind. But yeah, there was something else. So Jado, who the fuck did? Oh, I got my note wrong here. Jado pulled somebody off the apron to eliminate them. Oh, it was Yoshi, right?
Yeah, because it was someone that wasn't in the match that pulled him off.
Yeah. So Yoshi got pulled off the apron to eliminate him, which I couldn't believe counted. Like the ref had his back turned and turned around, saw him on the floor. He's like, "Oh, I guess you went over, ding ding." I'm like, "What? How you didn't even see it? Red Shoes, you didn't even see him go over the top rope. How do you know he's eliminated?"
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, then Kenta and Ishii both, and so after that, so basically, Ishii takes the ref, and Tama Tonga's on the apron, and then Yoshihashi pulls Tama off the apron to the floor and pays him back. The crowd went insane for that.
Yeah, the people
like Yoshihashi
were slapping his hand, hugging him. Yeah.
So that was like the most over Yoshihashi's ever been, probably. Yeah. Like the crowd was so happy when he did that.
That'll do, Yoshihashi. That'll do.
And then Kenta and Ishii both ended up on the apron. They had a form exchange and eliminated each other. They both fell down.
And then later in the match, they were going at it again. Like
they brawled all the way to the back.
Brawled.
So they went all the way to the back, and I assume that's going to be your next Never title match. You know, Ishii getting his rematch, probably a Power Struggle or that showdown in San Jose show. After that, Goto eliminated White, but then Chase immediately eliminated him from behind, and then Tanahashi.
Pretty obviously when it was those four left who was winning this and how it was going to go. Me, but like who was going to be last, because they do usually like to end these type of matches with a pinfall. So I'm like, okay, so Chase is going to have to take the pin because White isn't going to get pinned to end the match. He's going to get thrown to the top rope. But it was still great. And so, then
Tanahashi pinned Chase for the high fly flow.
With the high fly flow.
Yeah, which the crowd got to see that. The crowd went nuts for that. And again, we didn't mention this again, but again, Tanahashi was like the most over guy in the world here.
Yeah.
Like they loved him.
And he got to do his thing because, he started to leave the ring and he...
Wait a second. So the match itself, 3 3/4. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
So Tanahashi, he says, "Listen, I have a dream. I have a dream."
Oh no, but
and then
you're forgetting when he did the thing where he teased he was going to leave the ring. Or was that after that? Without the or did he cut the promo first? Okay, I think you're right. Okay, keep going.
I don't know. It doesn't. I think you're right. What did he tease?
He started crawling out like he's leaving. See you guys later. Going to the back, and everyone was like, "Wait, no!" And then he started. He was leaning under the ropes. He put his head out of the ring. Boo! Put it back in. Yay! Boo! Yay! Boo! They started chanting air guitar, air guitar. They wanted that air guitar. So, and before I forget, there's something else we didn't mention about the night before. How over Okada's shorts were, if you remember. Yeah.
Well, Okada in general was.
They built up to him taking off his. They did the. Which the crowd in Japan don't really make as much noise about it anymore. But New York hadn't seen it yet, I guess. So, but anyway, continue what you were saying.
We should mention in general, Okada was also extremely over. Probably the most over guy on the show.
On the Saturday show. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like super.
On the
super
Sunday
over.
show, the biggest pop. I mean, it is pretty close. I think might have been for Ishii for Philly.
Well, Naito was there up there.
But too. Naito was up there, and so was Tanahashi.
Yeah.
But I think Ishii might have been the biggest. I don't know, but it's a close one between those three.
So Tanahashi says, "Listen, I have a dream. I have a dream." And some guy in the crowd starts chanting, "MLK, MLK."
Yeah. Really I don't know what. I mean, in America, when you say that, that's what you think of, I think. I mean, in Japan, there's no one that probably delivered a famous speech called "I have a dream" in Japan. So you translate it into English, and you're thinking, "Oh, I have a dream," and they'd be like, "Well, there's only one thing you can think of when you hear that." If you're raised in the right school system that taught you certain things, but
yeah, it's that guy started training for MLK. That's my hero. Yeah, he was so funny. But then Tanahashi's like, no, his dream is to play air guitar at the Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and Roll Express, which the crowd exploded for. They were so happy to hear that. And out the Rock and Roll Express came, and that is a moment I'll probably never forget. That I took pictures of that. Seeing
Ricky, I saw Ricky Morton lead a crowd in a New Japan chant.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
in 2019
explain to somebody that
in
Ricky,
2019
in Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia.
It's just so fucking funny. Explain to go back 10 years and tell somebody 10 years from now Ricky Morton's going to lead a crowd in Philadelphia in a New Japan chant.
Well, go back to like 2003 when they did didn't Ring of Honor bring in them in the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette for a big nostalgia tag match in like 2003, and like in 16 years they're going to be back in this city, but leading a New Japan chant, and people probably be like they're going to still be wrestling in 16 years, and they'd be like, yeah, and he's going to do a Canadian Destroyer, and they'd be like, what's that? But
no, I think that might have been.
I think it might have existed. Yeah. It might have, but it was probably. No, but that was an awesome way to end the show. Show went a perfect, just short of 3 hours. Perfect length for that show. I was so happy to see one of those elimination matches live. I've always wanted to see those, and it did not disappoint. Sitting from the third row.
I saw one in 2016.
You've only mentioned that 8,446 times, but thank you.
This was better though than that.
Yeah, I know.
So. I like this one.
And I finally got to see Tanahashi win at a show, because it seems like every time I go to a show live that year, Tanahashi always loses. But he won the main event here. He shook hands with everybody, kissed babies, all that stuff. And something I need to say about the Philly show we haven't mentioned yet, which I really noticed leaving the building as I was walking around trying to find the bathroom and stuff. For an American pro wrestling show, I have never seen this many women.
Yeah.
An American now. Is it still mostly men? Of course. But for an American pro wrestling show, it wasn't like Japan, but usually it's 5% women or something. Here, it might have been almost 1 in 6, maybe even 1 in 5. And there were women there
20% or something.
Yeah, 1 in 5. Yeah. And it wasn't, and at those shows, it's usually the only women there are the ones dragged by their boyfriends. Maybe you'll get 1 or 2 girls that are fans, but I saw a lot of girls there that weren't with anyone, but just sitting in front of us with 2 women who were not with guys or anything. They were there for themselves. They were there together to watch the show. They had their New Japan shirts on, and there were a lot of women there. So New Japan is doing the thing that WWE definitely can't do these days, and a lot of wrestling companies in America can't do, and that's draw women more than any other wrestling promotion, from what I can see. That's just something Japan, I noticed. It just shocked me how many women there were at the show. Wearing New Japan merch. So they're fans. They're not there because their boyfriend took them. They're there because they're fans of New Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in Japan, you go to a DDT show, it's 1 out of 5 is a guy or something. Some shows, Dragon Gate is a ton of women. But in America, it's almost always guys. But a lot of women express how shocked.
So that was the show. I thought this was better than New York. I thought this was a really good Korakuen, basically. That's how this felt, a really fun Korakuen. And look, if they brought these shows back, I would go every fucking time.
Yeah, me too.
This is so much fun. In third, especially from third row, which look, that might have been part of why I liked it better in New York. We had way better seats. We were right in the third row for this. But I still think this show was better.
Yeah.
All right. So coming up next Monday, New Japan Road.
Same
from
tag
October
match.
7th. All right, I'm going to go over.
Are you going to give the entire card?
Yeah, let me just give it real quick. So it's the actual tour is October 4th and 5th first, but we're not. Those 2 shows are not airing. So it's next Monday is the show that's airing. It's going to be the opener. It's going to be Tenzan, Kojima, and Uemura against Nagata, Nakanishi, and Yoda Tsuji. Then we have Toa Hanare versus Shingo Takagi. That could be really good, actually, 1-on-1. Then Jushin Thunder Liger and Tiger Mask against Minoru Suzuki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Roppongi 3K against Yujiro Takahashi, Taiji Ishimori, Gato, and Jado. So I guess Jay White has to show off because Goto's got nobody to fight there. Then we have Naito and Bushi against Taichi and Doki. And then the semi-main is a Hiroshi Tanahashi 20th anniversary match. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tomoaki Honma, and Yoshihashi against Togi Makabe, Toru Yano, and Ryusuke Taguchi. And the main event, Okada and Ibushi and Evil against Evil and Sonata once again. Will be interesting to see if Evil and Sonata win again or if Okada and Ibushi get the win there. But so that's 1 week before King of Pro Wrestling on October 14th. But yeah, we'll talk about that probably in 2 weeks on the show. I'm sure we'll do an episode including King of Pro Wrestling. We have Okada Sonata for the heavyweight title, Ibushi Evil for the title shot, Moxley versus Juice for the U.S. title, and a no DQ match. Will Ospreay versus Phantasmo for the junior title, Liger versus Suzuki. So 5 big singles matches on top. And then below that, you got a bunch of tags. Naito matched up with ZSJ, which is interesting. Goto and Jay White continuing their build.
And
for
Taichi.
And Taichi. Another Tanahashi anniversary match. And the El Desperado comeback match. I cannot wait to see Des be back in the ring. Are you excited for that too?
Yes, I'm excited to see Desperado back. I'm excited to see Naito and Taichi tangle again.
The Junior Tag League starts only 2 days after that.
Yeah.
October 16th in Korakuen. So I wonder if they're going to wait all the way till Power Struggle or wait all the way to King of Pro Wrestling to announce the teams again, or if they might announce them before that because 2 days is not a lot of time.
If they're having trouble selling tickets to Junior Tag League, if they want to make a big impact, they could announce a team of a certain Bushi and a certain person to represent LIJ. But,
also, I want to mention. I want to mention too. I know who you mean, Hiromu Takahashi, buddy. Yes,
but if Bushi doesn't find someone, LIJ doesn't have a team in the tournament.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I want to mention too. They added 3 more dates to the New Japan schedule recently. The Road to Tokyo Dome is going to be 3 Korakuen shows. I don't think that was the case last year. I'm going to check that actually.
Yeah, I don't think they were 3 straight. In December.
So it's December. So the Tag League final is December 8th, and then there's 11 days off, and then they come back with Road to Tokyo Dome Thursday the 19th, Friday the 20th, and Saturday the 21st. And then there's another few weeks off, and then we get the Wrestle Kingdom 14 in Tokyo Dome on January 4th and 5th. And then we have New Year's Dash on January 6th, this year from the Oda Gym instead of from Korakuen Hall, which can hold about 4,000 fans. So trying to get some more fans into the building, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to check that thing about buddy, don't try to rush up the air. We still got to do the questions.
Oh, okay.
So calm down. But yeah, so what are you most looking forward to for King of Pro Wrestling? I think for me, it's actually the Liger Suzuki match, probably.
Yeah, probably.
To answer my own question, by the way, the Road to Tokyo Dome was 2 Korakuens last year instead of 3. So they added a 3rd show, basically. So here you go. Let's get into the questions here because I got a bunch. Basically, so I still have the DDT segment that I'm going to put at the end, basically. But because almost all the questions were about New Japan anyway, I just figured we'll do the questions and then I'll tack on my solo DDT segment. So Jose Serenel, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, buddy. Do you see Roosh, now that he's the ROH champ, reigniting ROH and New Japan's relationship, or anyone for that matter? No, I don't think anything will reignite. I think that thing is dead. Bully Ray might have just sabotaged the fucking show, buddy. I think it's dead.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. If it turns out that's what happened, then yeah, it's dead.
Beth at Love Songwriter. Why are people mean to Yoshihashi? I don't know. What do you think, Quinlan?
I don't get it either. We talked about it earlier. Maybe he's just not that cool. I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't know. I could understand if they had no reaction, but I don't get why they're booing him.
Also, would you have preferred New Japan to come over with more marquee matches, or is the Road 2 format good for U.S. shows? See, I am fine with the Road 2 format because I like seeing them. I like seeing them in a smaller building.
Yeah, if they want to do a big show here once in a while, that's fine too. But if they're going to do a big show, it's going to if people expect a Dominion level card, it's not going to be in Hammerstein Ballroom or 2300 Arena. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
Yeah, so that's why I think people are a little weird about that. At Andrews Vilster, I have been following New Japan since January 2017, and I want to watch more Japanese promotions. Which promotions would you recommend? I would recommend DDT, which I think is a really, really fun company as far as like, if you like to watch stuff that's more lighthearted and like has a lot of comedy. If you're only looking for serious wrestling, All Japan's a good one to try out because, the wrestling style is very similar anyway. So I think it's an easy one to jump right into. If you want to see more junior heavyweight style, you have Dragon Gate. If you want to see like, I think more like, I guess you have Pro Wrestling Noah, which I'm really behind on, but
there's also Stardom. Don't forget.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to go for the male ones first.
Oh, okay.
And then we have, God, you made me lose my train of thought. Thank you. Oh, and Big Japan, which has like some death matches and some strong style matches, and then yes, there's a lot of Joshi promotions. There's Stardom, which I would definitely recommend checking out. It's very accessible to American fans because you have the Stardom World Service. And there's translations on there with subtitles. There's also Sendai Girls. There's Ice Ribbon, Tokyo Joshi. There's a lot of companies, but I would recommend, the easiest one to access with DDT Universe and Stardom World, or DDT and Stardom and All Japan, because they have All Japan TV. So that's a good place to start. And Stardom even has like subtitles that will help a lot. At RBX 2000. What night at the Dome does Tana and the Rock and Roll Express challenge for the Never belts in the main event? I don't know. I think that's not happening, but
maybe they'll defend in America, we'll get a match for that there. But I don't think in Japan.
That's a joke question, I think. Anyway, At Yesterday Dances, who do I have to fight who booed Yoshihashi? A lot of people.
Yeah, like all of the Hammerstein Ballroom and all of the ECW arena.
At Thor, not all of them, like half.
Okay.
At Thoros, who I saw at the Philly show, shout to Thoros. Shouldn't everyone feel obligated to apologize to Tanahashi for sliding the Philly card? I guess we should. We're very sorry, Tanahashi.
I never slide the Philly card, so I don't have to apologize for shit.
Okay.
I was looking forward to that card because it had that elimination match that I love.
And now, for the first time this week, those are all Twitter questions. Now we have a channel in the Super J-Cast Discord server where they just gave us a channel, which is really cool. So I asked people in there if they want to, ask some questions. So here's some questions for them from user TTT. I was at the Super J Cup in Long Beach. I was curious what the lines for the meet and greet and merch were like. Also, were other indies there promoting their own shows? I didn't see the indies promoting their own shows. Did you see any?
No.
Because usually they hand out flyers. Yeah, I didn't see any. The meet and greets, we weren't there for the meet and greets. They did them early, and we went to the 2 meetups, so we didn't see the meet and greet lines. But the merch lines were gigantic.
Yeah, they're really big.
Really, really big. And then he said, I'm also curious if we go to more New Japan shows if they don't bring as many names, a la the New Beginning USA tour earlier in the year. I would pretty much go to anything if it's in New York, I think.
Yeah.
The New Beginning and USA shows were supposed to have more people originally. People forget, but even then, it wouldn't have been as many as this show. But still, I would have gone to that if it was here.
If it was nearby.
Xavier Ramirez, question: have you or your guest watched any of the 3 falling anime? Berserk, Devilman Crybaby, and Demon Slayer, aka Kimitsu no Yaba. And if you haven't, you definitely should. I haven't watched any of the 3.
You know the answer to that question for me. You better know.
Well, I know of one of them.
I fucking love my Berserk.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about. What was the middle one?
Devilman Crybaby.
I've heard of that. I've heard really good things about Demon Slayer. I fucking love Berserk with like all my body and soul. And if anyone who wants to say anything past like where the anime stopped and the manga is shit, you can go fuck yourself. I think it's awesome. Well, no, I don't. People do the anime. The manga still it falls down a little bit, but it picks up. You get a whole new cast to surround Guts, and Berserk does have the most not only the most badass main character of any series, but also the main character. One time I was on some message board where someone asked, in all of anime and manga, which character deserves the most pity? And people started giving like questions like Shinji and Evangelion. And someone just said Guts and Berserk, discussion over. And everyone basically was like, yeah, yeah, no one's been through more shit than the main character of Berserk. But Berserk's awesome. I know you don't watch it or read it, John, but yeah.
Berserk. I do know that it's the creator's obsessed with Idolmaster to the point where every time they announce a new Idolmaster game, it's like the E3 that one time. I just remember a tweet like, "It's weird that Sony announced a Berserk delay at their press conference today."
Yeah.
They announced like an Idolmaster game.
Yeah, that's not just a joke. It's real. Like if Idolmaster comes out, well, you're gonna be waiting a while for your Berserk, but. I'll give him one thing, even though it takes forever to release new chapters, whenever he does a chapter, he goes all out. The art is amazing. He doesn't hang back and because I know there was a time a certain Hunter would go on delays. When he would come back, like a lot of panels would be like fucking stick figures and scribbles. Now, to be fair, I think he was going through some health issues at the time. Couldn't draw as well. That's what I heard. I'm not sure, like back problems, but Berserk is really detailed whenever he does a new chapter. It's awesome. But I guess
Joe Gagney, given the success of the New Japan Northeast shows, how soon would you come back? Would you make this a yearly September run? I would like to see them do at least one of these like mini tours every year, and I think the Northeast is a great place to do it. So I would try to make this a yearly thing. I like the idea of doing like one or two big shows and then like one or two of these smaller tours maybe. But yeah, I would do this annually because I think the fans seem to really like it, other than the unfortunate New York delay and maybe some people with inflated expectations. But I would do this again. I think I really like these types of shows. We have another question like this, so I'll save some of my thoughts for that. But shout out to Joe Gagney. Hopefully have me back on the 5-star match game sometime. Dakota Ibushi, which I love, the great name by that guy, by the way. If Naito wins a mini tournament at Wrestle Kingdom to get both belts, how do you see it happening? The big character questions I have are, does he embrace or discard the IC title afterward? Does he need to embrace or completely rid himself of the Stardust Genius to win the title? I.e., is he hitting a Stardust press on Okada to win the match? What do you think, Quinlan?
Why are you asking me this first?
I don't know. Why not?
You know, I'm worried that that's not going to happen.
Well, what do you think if it does happen? Is he going to embrace the IC title or get rid of it?
I don't know. I thought he was going to embrace the IC title by now, but if he's going for the world title too, then I don't know. I don't know where that goes. I'm guessing he does embrace it eventually. I'm not sure if it's there, but I think he does. I don't think he will go for the Stardust press. I think that was the reason why he lost that 2018 match. I think he's done with that. Yeah, I think he's done with that.
Mark says, okay, the similar question. Would you rather have New Japan continue these weekend house show tours in the US along with a show like MSG? I'll go back to 2017, 2018, where they had 1 to 3 shows, but they all meant something. Look, here's where I'm going to take issue with you, Mark. The 2018 shows, I was at Strong Style Evolved, which was the show in March or whatever, then Long Beach. That show was not that much better than these cards. I mean, look, it had that Young Bucks Omega Ibushi match that people loved, and I thought it was really good too, actually. But like, it had a U.S. title match with Jay White and Hangman Page. A lot of people didn't really seem to care for that much. I actually think I was one of the higher people on it. And then other than that was a bunch of tags. So I mean, it really was not that big of a difference. People complained about that card too and said it was a fucking Korakuen card, which I think was overblown at the time. But people complained about that card too. The one in September in Long Beach, whatever the fuck it was called, was it Fighting Spirit Unleashed again, I think, right? I mean, that had a U.S. title match, so similar to like a Never title match here with Cody and Juice, which people didn't like. It had, I don't even remember what else it had. I mean, the main event, again, was a tag match building up King of Pro Wrestling. It was Omega and Ibushi against Ishii and Okada, I think, right? Something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a match to build up the it was like a build up match or something. It was just a nothing tag match. I mean, the people again liked that tag match, but it was not like this big fucking show that was like you weren't getting Dominion. I mean, people act like you got Dominion. You did not get Dominion. The closest thing we got to getting Dominion was MSG, basically, this year, which still had to share half a Ring of Honor card. So I don't buy the idea that these shows in America used to be way bigger before this tour. This tour had some other little shows attached to it that were like The Friday and the Sunday shows were much more like, Road to Korakuens, except, Friday had a tag title match. But the Saturday show, I mean, again, it was a tag match main event, just like the one in September last time. Never title match semi-main, which is very comparable to a U.S. title match semi-main, and then a bunch of tags. So there really wasn't that big of a difference. So I prefer they come over more so I can see them more. That's pretty much my opinion. The real Forno, if Naito wins the mini tournament, does this neat big moment need to happen by beating Okada? I don't really care. His big moment can happen by beating anybody, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, Quinlan, do you disagree?
It could be either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, more Ibushi.
Leon Shade, who do you think is really talented and would shine in a different company but is not successful in their current company? AKA, which Puro guys would be best served by jumping ship? It's a good question. Small Doink added hard mode. You can't answer the above question with Godo, which is a very easy answer. Probably people think he'd do really well in like All Japan. I don't know if there's anybody in New Japan that jumps out at me as like would really be super successful outside the company. Is there anybody that jumps out at you?
Naito, maybe.
Naito would be he'd be the biggest star in any other company. It's true.
Yeah. I think give him a world title run there. So.
Well, he's good. Okay. I'm trying to think of if there's anyone else who like really smacks me in the face. Is like, I don't know. I mean, if you could put like someone like Evil in another company, he'd probably be like close to the top star. Yeah. But I don't know. That's just the depth New Japan has. There's in All Japan, I could see someone. I wonder if like Jake. I always think like maybe Jake Lee, his charisma isn't good enough to be like a top All Japan star, but he always strikes me as a guy that might have like a funny side to him. So maybe Jake Lee to DDT, and maybe he'd be like, one of these guys that like could be a really good wrestler but still have that comedic element to them. I mean, that's just a total guess on my part, though. A lot of people also say Higuchi for DDT, but I'm not sure if that's a good one or not, because I think he is, I think he's actually fits in better with DDT than people act like. I've always wanted to see Hideki Suzuki New Japan run, so I'm going to give that one. Hideki go to New Japan and just tear through the roster. That would be awesome. Ice Age coming. They aren't going to do this, but which is a shame since it would rule. What do you think? How do you think an Asuka KOD open with title reign would go? I'm biased, but to me, she strikes me as the person with the biggest number of exciting potential matches. I think her title reign would go for awesome, and I'd be really excited to see it. And Quinlan and I talking about the WWE Asuka, just for the record, but different Asuka. And then I would love to see it. I think it would go really, really well, but I wouldn't be so quick to say they would never do it. I mean, I think they easily could do it down the line, and the like trying to show her as like a potential rival for Takashita is, maybe makes you think they might have some kind of plans for her. And then finally, the last question from Liam D. McCann. Why is Gorgeous Matsuno the ace of Puro? And he says, follow up, why hasn't Matsuno inserted himself into the most prestigious double title match in Puro? I don't know, but he definitely is the ace. And I'm about to talk about how great Gorgeous Matsuno was on the DDT show, or you're about to hear me talk about it because I've already talked about it, which the magic of audio. So Quinlan, I know you're in a big rush to get off the air as you keep texting me during these questions. Why don't you go ahead and give me your plugs?
I don't have any plugs.
Plug your Twitter.
What is it again?
It's _not_Quinlan.
There you go.
Okay. So, folks, that's it for Quinlan. I'm going to be back in just a second through the magic of audio to talk about the DDT Korakuen show. So hang on tight, and we'll be right back at you with the DDT Korakuen. Before I do that, I want to mention, so even though it's going to add to Quinlan's anger, because I realized I didn't talk about it at the end of the Korakuen, if I met you at the Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows this past weekend or at the meetups, thank you so much for coming up and saying hi. I know I met Haley. The guy who sat in front of us didn't give us his name, but if you said you were a listener, if the guy who sat in front of us in Philly that said hey, that was awesome. A whole bunch of people at the meetup. a bunch of people that we ran into at the meetups, I should say.
Yeah, it's cool seeing everybody.
A bunch of people that we ran into at the shows. So yeah, very cool. If you ever meet me, ever see me at a show or anything, I love hearing from listeners. So thank you so much if you came up and said, hey, that was really cool. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to insert a little musical interlude here, and then I'll be right back talking the DDT Korakuen. So talk to you in a sec.
Bye.
Hey folks, we're back here with what's going to be our first attempt at a solo review on Wrestling Omakase. So you probably just finished, unless you skipped it, I guess, finished listening to me and Quinlan talk about the 2 Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows. As I sit here and record this, I haven't recorded that with him yet. I'm going to right after. So it's one of these weird situations where, thanks to the magic of radio, you're hearing this second, but I'm recording it first. So hopefully that thing with Quinlan was great, and you just heard a great review of the 2 Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows. Here we're trying something new. We're trying a solo review on Omakase for the first time ever. This is because, first of all, Quinlan doesn't really watch DDT. Second of all, I wasn't sure with my weekend schedule when I would even watch the Korakuen. It ended up being pretty much right before this. Or before I'm recording this, because I took off from work today since I knew I was going to get home really late on Sunday. But so I didn't feel comfortable lining up a guest and being like, well, you basically have to be on call for whenever I'm ready to record on the DDT Korakuen. So we're going to try this as a one-time thing. Hopefully it goes well. You can let me know, in the feedback if you like these solo reviews, and maybe we can do, another one in the future. When the guest might be on and they might not be into a certain promotion that I still want to talk about. So we'll see if we do this again. It might just be a 1-week thing. Also note, I did not have time to watch the Noah N1 final, which I had mentioned last week that I wanted to do on a solo review as well. So that didn't happen. I promise we'll talk about Noah sometime on this show. For Sumo Hall for sure, I promise. And I still plan to watch the N1 finals. I just didn't have time to do it before recording this show. So, let's talk about DDT, September 29th, Who's Gonna Top? I think you just heard a computer noise. Sorry about that if you did. DDT, Who's Gonna Top, 2019 from Korakuen Hall. First of all, so this show took place in front of a little bit of a smaller crowd than usual for DDT Korakuen, only 931 fans. It is surprising to me that it drew that poorly, considering the Sumo Hall show at Ryogoku is doing really well. About as well as it did last year. The Ultimate Party show is doing about as well as Peter Pan did last year. It looks like they're on track to sell out their smaller Ryogoku setup. So I'm a little surprised the fans who are really buying up the tickets for that show apparently didn't care who was to find out in person who one of the 2 main eventers is going to be. But, DDT shows are weird. I mean, their big shows draw pretty damn well, but then their Korakuens can be very random. I didn't watch the dark match, which was Nobuhiro Shimatani beating Takato Nakano in 706, so I skipped that. The show opened with us learning that trainee Keigo Nakamura's debut match will finally be happening. So that'll be on October 19th at the Ryogoku KFC Hall, which is not the big Sumo Hall, of course. It's just another nearby small venue. And he'll be taking on Naomi Yoshimura. So Yoshimura got mad at him for lying about his weight. Of course, I should mention, as always, big thank you to DDT English Update for helping us out with the translations. They do tireless work over there, so definitely follow them on Twitter if you don't already. DDT English Update. That's just a great account that really, helps my terrible Japanese skills understand what's actually going on. I've reached a point now where I can understand some sentences, but still, I'll be I know some of what the gist of what's being talked about, I guess, but I'd still be really lost without DDT English Update. So thank you so much to them. It's at DDTPro_ENG. Definitely follow them, if you don't already. So it opened up with that, and then we got a backstage segment where the gist seemed to be that Kazuki Hirata is really worried that he's being haunted by this zombie Saki. Of course, that's Saki Akai's distant relative that we met last month. But he doesn't believe in the supernatural, so basically everybody else had these talismans to protect themselves from Saki, but Hirata refused one because he didn't actually believe in it. But Yukio actually had two. I guess you can't be too careful. And then when everybody leaves, we see Saki stagger out of a nearby locker, which was pretty funny. Then we started out with the opener, which was Danshoku Dino, Yoshitango, and Gota Ihashi against Toru Owashi, Yukio Sakaguchi, and Kazuki Hirata. Gota coming out was so freaked out by the threat of Saki, the looming threat, that he seemed to be scared of his own streamers, so that was pretty funny. And then when Yukio came out for the match, he now had 3 talisman. So is it? I guess that's the question DT English Update asked: is talisman the plural of talisman, or is it talisman either way? I don't know. The point is he had 3 talisman. And then Hirata still had none and now had these weird black marks on his eyes, and Ref Matsui demanded a talisman as well and finally got one from Yukio. Then we had Gota and Owashi doing some lucha, which was really funny. Kazuki Hirata hit the ropes and basically got tripped up by a ghost. He just fell down. And he insisted someone tripped him, but there was nobody there. So, keeping that comedy going. And then Yukio Sakaguchi also did some lucha. I don't know what lucha had to do with ghosts, but sure. And then Hirata had all built up to him going to do his dance, but the music got really weird. The lights started going in and out. First, the lights started going in and out, actually, because Hirata was don't worry about it. My glasses glow in the dark. But then the music started getting really weird, too. And then here comes Saki. She attacks Hirata, bites him, and we end up calling off this match at 6:48 due to zombie attack, because a good reason to call a no contest a zombie attack. The talismans do seem to work, though, because she doesn't go after everyone else. She just she walks right by 3 of them when she leaves. So if only Hirata had gotten the talisman. So I guess the plural of talisman is talismans. I don't know. Saki put a message in blood on the Tron that says, "Book me in a match," which is one way to get your message across, I guess. Put a message in blood on the Titantron. But yeah, this was a fun little comedy opener, pretty typical, but typical zombie attack stuff. Then we had match number 2, which was Masahiro Takanashi and Mao defeating Shunra Katsumata and Mizuki Watase. Takanashi pinning Watase with a leg lock cradle in 5:35. This was short, but really fun while it lasted. I only went 2 3/4 because it was just so short, but I liked it. Masa's cradle-based offense, it really always livens up a little tag match like this. At one point when he reversed a pin off a drop kick, right into a crucifix for a close near fall. I love Masa Takanashi. I mean, I talked about a lot. I'm a mark for flash pins anyway, and he just does a million of them. And he's just a very good wrestler anyway, so shout out to Masa Takanashi. Then we see basically the match ended right after that little spot I talked about, though, with Masa pinning Watase with his cross leg pin. So he'll be challenging Ryuichi Sekine of Basara for the Union Max title at the upcoming Ryogoku Show Ultimate Party. So him getting the pin here definitely made sense, but fun little tag match. Then we had match number 3, a 4-way tag team match. Cody Hall and Antonio Honda defeating Makoto Oishi and Yuki Onaya, Hiroshi Yamato and Mad Pauly, and Yuki Ueno and Naomi Yoshimura. So Hall pinned Ueno with the Thunderbuster in 7:40. This again, pretty typical DDT undercard stuff. A little four-way tag action here, which you see on a lot of shows. Yamato came out with a belt that's apparently the top of Mount Fuji Championship, where apparently they have matches literally at the top of Mount Fuji. I don't know how that works exactly, but I'd like to see it. And Mad Pauly, when he came out as Yamato's partner, seemed to greatly enjoy his singing, which I guess is like a consistent character trait for him, because he's always very excited whenever Shuji Ishikawa, Damnation member, sings, for the fans. And yeah, Pauly likes to dance. So yeah, Pauly really enjoys when people sing, apparently. There was a really funny spot early on where like Antonio Honda, there were two guys laying across the mat when he was like he took an Irish whip, and he almost tripped over both of them, but managed to survive without tripping. So that was really funny. He just like wobbled and just didn't go down. There was also an assisted X with Pauly and Yamato, where Pauly like put the X motion over Yamato's arms and like just tossed him off the top rope on an opponent. That looked pretty cool. The Gon the Fox story here, when of course Honda did finally trip coming into the ring, that was about him going to the World Track and Field Championship, where he competed in shot put. So there you go. And then Cody pinned Ueno, as I mentioned before. 2 3/4 again, fun match, and they seem to tease Cody and Yuki Onaya as like two big guys facing off throughout, and they confronting each other after the match. So now, after this match is where we got the announcement for the DO field, which is, of course, DDT's answer to the G1, which takes place, I believe, I don't know if they have the dates yet. It's after Ultimate Party for sure. It's called the DO 2020. It's like a fucking sports game or video game or something where, it takes place in 2019, late 2019, but it's called the DO 2020. So here's the field. We have Konosuke Takeshita, Harashima, Daisuke Sasaki, Tetsuya Endo, Soma Takao, Yukio Sakaguchi, and then a few DDT wrestlers making their first appearance in the DO, Yuki Ueno, Naomi Yoshimura, and Yuki Ino. Then we have Keisuke Ishii coming back from Gambare to compete in this match. We have Bull James coming from America, which isn't that thrilling to me, but the last three competitors here, all guest stars, are a lot more thrilling, I should say. First, we have Chris Brooks coming back, and people should know I'm not high on the Brit Res, but I really enjoy Chris Brooks during his run in the DO, or not in the DO, I mean in DDT earlier this year. I actually saw his debut match in person at the Kyoto KBS Hall, and I just thought he was a great fit in DDT pretty much immediately. So good to see him back. Now you have Masato Tanaka, of all people, coming in, which got a big pop. So did Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks got a big pop. Tanaka got a big pop. And then Chihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls, who also got a big pop. So those last three, that's like awesome stuff. Like three great outsiders there. You got Brooks, who already fit in really well. Masato Tanaka, who, is fucking Masato Tanaka. And Chihiro Hashimoto, who absolutely rules. So I hope she fucking wins. I would be totally fine with that. And I pray to God that she and Masato Tanaka are in the same block, because I really want to see Masato Tanaka versus Chihiro Hashimoto. So if the wrestling gods are kind enough to give me that, I will be very happy. After that, we had the fourth match, which was for the over 40 open weight championship. Is it open weight? I don't know. Gorgeous Matsuno defeated Shinjiro Takagi in 8:33 with a schoolboy. Takagi fails in second defense, and Matsuno becomes the second over 40 champion. This was actually like kind of fun. It's like a mostly straight wrestling match early on. Like at one point, Takagi wiped out Matsuno with a lariat, which is like a little harder than you expect to see a 58-year-old man taking a move there. But then Matsuno eventually gets like a handful of powder. He tosses it accidentally in the ref's face after Takagi ducks. And then, probably the funniest spot in the entire show, he sees the ref get with the powder and just goes, and tosses a second handful of powder in the ref's face on purpose. I laughed pretty hard at that. Takagi got a visual pin on Matsuno, but the ref was down, of course. And then Matsuno reverses a powerbomb attempt into a Rana. It sends Takagi into two of those plastic Tupperware boxes they like to use in DDT that were set up in the corner, and he gets a pin with a schoolboy right after he went into the corner to win the title. This was really fun, actually, for what it was. And then afterwards, Matsuno gave a surprisingly heartfelt speech about not giving up on your dreams, even when you're over 50. So because he's 58, as I mentioned before. He also said he always wanted to beat Takagi, so he finally got to here. So yeah, this was great. I did not expect the title change, but in hindsight, I thought it was totally pretty damn cool that it happened. We had the intermission here, and then we came back with the special singles match. Konosuke Takeshita defeating Asuka with a rotating prawn hold in 11:25. So, Asuka was in her awesome big match dress again. So I love that black and red dress. It's just so fucking cool looking. And then she went right after Takeshita at the bell, or before the bell, when Takeshita was like on the top rope during his entrance, and she like knocks him to the floor and then moonsaults to the floor. So that was a great start. After that, she mostly targeted Takeshita's back because it was all bandaged up, and she started targeting with chair shots on the floor. She absolutely beat the shit out of him with forearms at one point after spinning at him, and then like hit like a big wind-up one that looked brutal. And the crowd got really behind her once we got around the 10-minute mark, and she like wiped him out with a super kick and a spin kick. But then Takeshita ended up pinning her soon after that with a sudden cradle reversal. This is one where I just wish it got more time. I thought it was really great while it lasted. I went 3 3/4. I definitely think they have room to top that in another match. I think, if they had another 10 minutes, or even another 5 minutes, they probably would have hit 4 stars. The semifinal was the KOD Tag Team Championship match. Daisuke Sasaki and Soma Takao defeating Akito and Yuki Ino when Sasaki submitted Ino with the cross face lock in 14:35. Their 7th defense, so quite the reign here for Sasaki and Takao. Ino, of course, a former rugby player, had that rugby ball. Japan had just beaten Ireland apparently in the Rugby World Cup, which I was looking at the results here on Dramatic DDT, another site we can shout out here. And Jamie, of course, is from Ireland and runs that site. He put a little editor's note boo in the description, which I popped for. So shout out to Jamie if he happens to be hearing this. As far as the match itself, I thought this was awesome. A total coming out party for Yuki Ino, who I think has always had that potential. Has always been a guy that I think was pretty damn good at this already for a guy who's only been wrestling for I think a year, right? I'm gonna look this up now because I'm curious. But yeah, I mean he hasn't been around that long, and he's 2 years. He made his debut August 20th, 2017. So he hasn't been around that long. I think he had potential almost immediately, and he's really this was basically his coming out party. I thought he looked great in this match. He has a very unique look. He's already a minor celebrity, on Japanese television, doing J drama, which is why he's been away recently. And I thought he was great here. But it started out, the first thing I noted here was Akito and Soma had a really fun, fast-paced exchange, including a long cradle exchange. And then we got to Sasaki and Ino, where Sasaki tried to be a tough guy, taking his shirt off and telling Ino to chop him. But then in typical Sasaki fashion, he went down for just 2 chops, which is really funny. The announcers were at one point Sasaki managed to actually spear Ino, which the announcers seemed really amazed by, but sadly for him, this only seemed to fire Ino up because he kicked out at 1. The crowd started going, the crowd was going nuts at this point, and then he started going nuts on Sasaki, but then he accidentally crushed the ref with an avalanche in the corner, which kind of ended up being his undoing because it let Sasaki bring a bunch of chairs in and break them over his head. But then Ino fights back and absolutely wipes out Sasaki with a huge lariat. That was so awesome. Only gets a 2 count. And then Ino spears Sasaki. That looks to be it, but then Soma pulls the ref out and then gives Ino the red mist, which leads to him accidentally spearing his own partner Akito. And then Sasaki super kicks him into the Yoshitonic by Soma, and then Sasaki puts him in the face lock, and Ino finally has to tap. I went 4 1/4. I thought this was awesome. Again, just a total coming out party for Yuki Ino. Akito is always great, but really, Ino was the focus on his team, and I think there's a lot of big things in his future, especially since, he has a great face, for DDT comedy, has great facial expressions and just a really great look. I think he fits in with DDT probably even better than a guy like Higuchi, who, his underrated comedy, but underrated comedy wrestling skills and stuff like that, but Ino just fits in really, really well. After that, we had 2 teams from Basara coming out to challenge. First, Fuma and Yusuke Kubo, who basically said they want to take all the DDT titles with them when they go independent next year, since Basara is leaving the DDT umbrella after 2019. And then the second team was Minoru Fujita, the deathmatch wrestler who used to be like a big 0-1 junior, and ex-DNA wrestler Daiki Shimamura. So Fujita and Shimamura were the other team. But then Akito said he wants to fight Basara as well, so he and Shuma Katsumata were added, even though Sasaki was very upset about Akito getting the challenge again. But here, that made a 4-way match and a 4-way hardcore tag team match at DDT Ultimate Party, which we'll talk about. There's a lot of matches booked for Ultimate Party now. We'll talk about that after I talk about the main event here. The main event, the DDT Extreme Championship, a 3-way elimination match for that title. So it was Jiro, Ikemen, Kurishio defending against Harashima and Tetsuya Endo. I'm sorry I always butchered Jiro's last name for some reason. That's very hard for me to do it. So this was made an elimination match at Ikemen's request because he wanted to pin both of them. Didn't work out for him. But I just noted here, his entrance was so long that I was able to fold all my darks because I had to do my laundry today too, from the weekend and everything. But I was able to fold all my darks during Jiro's entrance. So I appreciate Jiro. I didn't miss any of the match. All I could think about early on was, early in the match was, will Vince McMahon like that noise Jiro makes? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've never seen a Jiro match, he likes to make this noise when he gets people in headlocks and especially early in matches where he goes I'm doing it really badly. But if you see a Jiro match, you know what I mean. And I could just see Vince getting one fucking look at that and being he has to stop that immediately. But I guess we'll see. So there was a really funny spot, probably the highlight of the 3-way portion, where Ref Matsui discovered both Jiro and Endo were trying to pin Harashima with their feet on the ropes at the same time. So he breaks that up, and then they both pretend to get mad at each other, you're a cheater. No, you're a cheater. So that was kind of funny. And then we had possibly the greatest getting your knees up for a moonsault spot of all time. Harashima basically almost leaped up to get his knees up, almost did a jump, and Jiro bounced off them when he landed. It was so great. So Jiro was the one doing the moonsault, to be clear. And then Endo tried the shooting star on Jiro pretty soon after that, but Jiro got his knees up right into a cradle for 2. Harashima broke up a Jiro pin attempt on Endo with a Samato, which kind of made no sense, but he did end up he was able to pin Jiro right after to eliminate him at least. So that happened at 15:10, and then he and Endo fought for about another 5 minutes before Harashima pinned him as well with the Samato in 20:01. So Jiro fails in second defense, and Harashima becomes the 47th DDT Extreme Champion. 4 stars for me on this match. I thought it was awesome. A little bit slow at the very beginning, and I would have liked to see maybe a little more drama in the Harashima Endo ending. I just think they didn't quite hit another next level with that, but still an awesome match overall with a lot of really cool spots. So Harashima, he is going to challenge Konosuke Takeshita in a double title match at DDT Ultimate Party on November the 3rd, I believe. I just had it in front of me. But yeah, November 3rd. So I'm a little surprised that it's not Endo. I thought they were going to do Endo, Takeshita again for both belts, but the double belt thing being the extra wrinkle that makes it okay for them to go right back to that match. But I just I think as far as doing Harashima again, that's totally fine too, obviously. They haven't done that match in a couple of years, I think. The thing about, or at least not in a big stage like this, it just kind of I thought maybe they were going to do, our guy named Tetsuya won the double titles before your guy named Tetsuya. But, maybe neither one of them's going to win both titles. Who knows? But yeah, so Takeshita Harashima, I assume Takeshita wins that. I don't know why you really have Harashima win at this point, unless you want to do their version of the big Tanahashi old guy run, which I guess is possible, but I would still expect Takeshita to win. So Let's talk about what we have so far for DDT Ultimate Party 2019. DDT Group Big Set, November 3rd at Ryogoku. We have 3 under matches. The Tokyo Joshi Pro offer match is currently X versus X. The same thing for a time difference battle royal. And then the only under match we actually know so far is Tomomotsu Matsunaga, Mizuki Watatse, and Keigo Nakamura. Of course, he's the new rookie that's going to debut in a couple weeks against Daichi Kazato, Masato Kamino, and Shuhei Washida. I don't know where those guys are from exactly. I assume from they could be from Gambare, they could be from Basara, because I don't really watch either that often, honestly. But I will find out. So, the Gauntlet tag match after that yep, he's Basara, there you go. The names, I've seen more Gambare than Basara, the names didn't sound familiar at all. So, then the actual opener was a Gauntlet tag match, which we know will be Yuki Ueno and Naomi Yoshimura versus Yukio Sakaguchi and Ryota Nakatsu from Basara versus Shuichiro Katsumura and Koki Iwasaki, also from Basara, versus Maki Ito and Chris Brooks. So yes, we have the Ito Respect Army team there in the opener. Oh, actually, Iwasaki's in Gambare. I'm sorry, I just lied. Match 2, the KOD 10-man tag team titles. Yes, they're coming back. I was there at Peter Pan in 2017 when the belts were first decided, and we haven't seen them I think since November 2017. So the belts are returning here with 2 new champions are going to be crowned between teams captained by Danshoku Dino and Super Sasango Machine. So we don't know who are on those teams yet, but we just know it's the Dino Army versus the Sasango Army. Match 3 will be for the Princess Tag Team titles, with Saki-sama and Misao defending against X and X. I'm not sure if they have a match scheduled to determine number of contenders or something, but right now we don't know who that's going to be. Match 4 is the KOD Tag Team title 4-way hardcore match I talked about earlier. Sasaki and Takao versus Akito and Katsumata versus Fuma and Kubo, and versus Fujita and Shimamura. Those last 2 teams both being from Basara. Match 5, the Independent World Junior Heavyweight title from, that's obviously the title that used to be the FMW title. That's now defended in Gambare. It's been defended in a million other places, honestly. But it's going to be Keisuke Ishii defending against Fuminori Abe. Of course, Abe is from Basara, so that's going to be Gambare versus Basara there. Match number 6, the Union Max title. That's the title defended in Basara that used to be a part of the Pro Wrestling Union group that was basically like their predecessor in the DDT group. So it's Ryuichi Sekine of Basara defending against Masahiro Takanashi of DDT. The Princess of Princess title, match 7, Shoko Nakajima defending against Yuka Sakazaki. That's a hell of a match there, about as big of a match as you can have for a Tokyo Joshi match, I think. So I really would like to see if Yuka can become a 2-time champion. I'd love to see it, honestly. Match number 8, the special single match, the head of DDT and the head of Basara one-on-one, Senshiro Takagi versus Isami Kodaka. That'll be a spectacle, and I really can't wait for that one. The semifinal, Kenny Omega and Riho in a dramatic dream match taking on Antonio Honda and Miyu Yamashita. I think people expecting that to be just comedy are going to be in for a surprise, especially if like Kenny and Miyu get to have some exchanges. I think they could do some really crazy stuff. And I know Kenny, one of the things I think Kenny wants to show here basically is, there's rumblings. I don't even know if it's rumblings or just like pretty much confirmed that he's not in agreement with the no intergender policy that's going to be going forward in AEW. So, this is his chance basically to show the quality of intergender. And then the main event, as we just talked about, for the KOD Openweight and DDT Extreme titles, Konosuke Takashita, the Openweight champion, versus Harashima, the Extreme champion. So yeah, this lineup looks pretty sick, like pretty much all the DDT Big Show lineups usually look. Just having all these different people in, from all these different promotions here. And there's a lot of people that don't even have matches yet, so I assume that Time Difference Battle Royal will have a lot of people, and I assume that obviously a bunch of people will be in the KOD Tag Team title match as well. So that is your DDT talk. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said before we started chatting here, this is my first time trying to do any kind of solo segment on the show. So, I have a lot of respect now for what Rich and Joe at the flagship do, like, every week on the Patreon, because this is not very easy, and I need a big drink of water right now. But we can wrap it up here, since this will be the end of the show. So, thank you as always for listening. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at WrestleOmakase. Wrestling did not fit. If I saw you this past weekend, I might go into the same speech when I record the New Japan part. But thank you so much if you came and said hi at the Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows. I really appreciate it. I always appreciate hearing from people who said they love the show. That's the kind of thing that makes me want to keep doing this for a long time. Along with obviously the fact that I just enjoy talking about pro wrestling. So next week, we're going to be, speaking of Rich, I just mentioned him. So Rich Craich from the Voice of Wrestling flagship will be on the show next week, as we're going to do an episode much like the one we did 2 years earlier, which is a Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame episode. So we're going to talk, I believe, focusing on mostly the U.S. and the Japan candidates, because I don't think either one of us will have much to say on Europe or Mexico. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the candidates and the various cases, and both will they go in, and how likely do we think they are to go in, and also would we put them in? So that's what we're going to be talking about next week, all about the Observer Hall of Fame. So definitely tune in for that. In the meantime, thank you as always for listening, and we will see you next week.